What is up, everybody? CrossFire Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Here we go. We are live, guys. We got a great show for you guys. The great Donnell Brown, everybody. A member for 37 months. Donnell, we love you, buddy. He says, move that dude from the show. Just remove them. No one likes him. He must be talking about the great Willie Gamer. Him and I were going back and forth with the great Donnell Brown before the show. Shout out to Donnell. Great to have everybody here. Please, guys, as you're kind of shuffling in, I see RPG, Jerome, Neil. You guys are all fantastic. Please hit that like button, guys. Share it out. Let everybody know that we are live. We've got a great show. I want to do a quick shout out again to the great Mash. Mash has been showing up week in and week out and donating anywhere from 20 to 40 memberships per show. I have to say thank you and tip my cap to him. That is unbelievable. Shout out to the great Mash. Guys, take a look at that outstanding description right there. That is an outstanding little synopsis of what we're going to be talking about tonight. You guys already know we're going to have a great show. We had an outstanding pre-show. This is just a panel that really jives together. We had a great pre-show, and we're going to make that go right into the live show. Right above that outstanding description, though, is the join button. If you guys will consider joining the Mooch Maniac family members, that is how you get your name in green in the chat. Shout out to Blaze 4K, by the way. There's Blaze. Blaze, outstanding to have you here. You're going to love the topics tonight, buddy. Blaze is going to absolutely have a bunch of popcorn and is ready to go tonight. This is going to be a good one. Shout out to DeFloyd. I see Neil Augusto. You guys are all fantastic. That being said, let's get to this outstanding panel I have assembled. And we do have some others joining us. P-Rock, Brap, and the great B Money will be joining us somewhere in the 40 minutes in, maybe even a little sooner, depending if they get home early enough. Let me just go ahead and start it off with saying he's back, folks. And when you have the opinions needed and the opinions being stated over the past 7 days on these topics, I have to get the voice of reason. And you guys know him as the great Eric Jackson. Eric, you're back on the show, buddy. And I know that we've been trying to make this happen for a couple of weeks, but you're here. And I am very, very excited to hear what you got to say tonight. Eric, how you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I was actually thinking about this when we were talking the other day. It's like when you try to get on, we try to sync up, and I'm like, it shouldn't be this difficult. It's like you would think I have a job working for the Pentagon or something, and I'm like, and then when I really think about it, I'm like, it's so mundane, but it always seems like there's something coming up that keeps me from being on. But I'm happy whenever I can make it, man. Thanks for having me.
Eric, great to have you here tonight. And you know, a lot of people were like, Mooch, you got to move the show from Friday to Thursday. So I move it to Thursdays. In the first few weeks, all the guests were like, this is great. This is great. Now people are like, Thursday, I got football, I got this, I got them. Shout out to the great Mr. Badbit, who was supposed to be on the show. He'll be on next week. He's like, Mooch, I totally forgot. I got Deadpool Wolverine tickets. I can't be on the show tonight. I said, why would you go on opening night? We're too old for that, Mr. Badbit. You got to go on Saturday. Nonetheless, the great Mr. Babbitt will be joining us next week. The great El Nini with $10 in the Super Chat. Guys, the Super Chat's working. It's a miracle. Please help donate to the Mooch. That being said, I want to go to the great Death Singer. And by the way, I got a lesson. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to learn. Death Singer and the great Willie Gamer, who are joining us tonight, a part of the great UK, okay? Death Singer coming from Wales, by the way, folks, and let's not get things just all kinds of confused. Wales is not England, and England, well, it's not Wales. Guys, I gotta say, Death Singer, thank you for the tutorial and the geography lesson, Death Singer. I truly appreciate it.
No problem. I mean, it's really hard to mistake us because we have a giant red dragon on our flag, which is just cool as all hell.
Yes.
I mean, who else has a giant red dragon on their flag? Who doesn't want a dragon on their flag?
The Targaryens. But I would say that, right? Am I wrong?
China is still jealous.
So it's great to have Death Singer here. We're going to go right over to our good friend, the great Willie Gamer. Willie, from Manchester, I might say. The great city of Manchester, I have to say. You are probably one of the more famous cities as far as the United States is concerned if they're going over to the UK. Willie, how you doing this evening? Great to have you as well.
That's right, kid, as they say in Manchester. I'm good, mate. I'm buzzing to be here. Such a privilege, man. I love it. I love rocking with you guys, and I'm looking forward to a great show. I got stuff I want to talk about, bro. We never covered Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I put the topic there for you tonight, Willie. I'm going to give you a chance to rant. Man. Yes,
I have. That'll be a juicy topic to talk into. Because because I know, man, I'm finding Twitter's like become. We know Twitter's a cesspool, but man, things are getting a bit silly now. Like this last, I don't know what's going on, but like the last 2-3 years since COVID, really, it's gotten just so much worse. And even Erica, shout out to Erica, Erica for the win. She's leaving X, bro. She's like she's gone. She's done, and I don't blame her one bit. Like,
yeah. No,
that wholesome gal, like she just wants to be a mum and game, and I'm like,
you have to respect that. You have to respect that. Shout out to Erica. Erica was just on the show 3 weeks ago, so it was great having her here on the show with us.
I'm gonna miss her voice, bro. I'm gonna miss that voice.
Absolutely,
it gives me the what's the word? Goosebumps, you know.
Absolutely. The great Willie Gamer making some great points, as always, I might say. Now, the great J-Dub is with us tonight as well. Jay, I don't know if my New York accent and your Southern accent can hold up to the great Wales and English accents. I think we'll try our best to represent the States, Jay. But listen, great topics tonight, buddy. We got a lot to talk about. Listen, not only was the pre-show great, guys, just so you guys know, it's always fun to know a little bit about the podcast behind the scenes. We also have a DM with everything going on as far as the topics and some discussions, and it was absolute fire. The great J-Dub is with us. Jay, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. What's up, everybody? Y'all know what it is. Happy Thursday. Always great to be here. Got a great panel. A bunch of friends on the panel today, and so let's get to it, man.
All right, here we go, Jay. Shout out to the great God Emperor Sofa King. He says, "Rest in peace." Which I don't believe he got the right studio, but we'll fix it for him. He says, "Rest in peace, Fire Walk." I think he's saying studios. Big ups, Jim Ryan, the homie. God Emperor Sofa King, not, just in case you guys are paying attention, not a fan of Concord. We are going to get to Concord in its entirety, guys. So listen, you know the Mooch. I like to keep the meat and potatoes to the middle of the show, especially I want to wait for B Money and P Rock to get here. So I'm going to go ahead and let Death Singer, who I would like to say really earned the microphone this week. Death Singer, I want you to go ahead and go first. I'm going to put you on the hot seat. We're going to start. Mm-hmm. We'll start with a little appetizer here to get the audience real riled up. Let's talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 now in Game Pass. It's in Game Pass. And a lot of people, I have it as a question. I have it also in the title. Is this a situation right now? And Singer, you're a fan of PC Game Pass. Is this something that you think, thinking outside, we've been discussing this, Singer. I think this is important for the audience to know. We've been saying, anyone that's been paying attention to Death Singer, he is a gamer. He plays tons of games a month. That's not necessarily the average Game Pass consumer. Singer, does this change things moving forward with Call of Duty in your opinion?
Modern Warfare 3, because it's the older COD, it's not really going to do much. The real test will be Black Ops 6, right?
Okay.
Brand new Call of Duty. Everyone's going to be rushing for it. Personally, I'm excited. Already pre-ordered. I am totally down, and that will tell all about what he'll do for Game Pass. As much as it's nice having Modern Warfare 3 in there, it's the older Call of Duty. Sure, he'll get some downloads, but most of the people already own it. Like in PC in particular, most people already own it on Steam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or elsewhere, and they're not really going to jump to Game Pass since they already own the game. It's a bit late. So the only people it might entice are people who haven't got Call of Duty yet. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Black Ops 6 will do something for Game Pass, but the question is how much will it do? Because it will do something. Call of Duty is always in the top selling games, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Death Singer makes a point there, and Eric, the reason I go to you is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. We haven't really had this discussion in a while. You either still have Game Pass or did have Game Pass. If you do have Game Pass, is this something that keeps you, engaged and keeps you renewing next year? If you don't, is this something that kind of sparks the fire and gets you to go ahead and say, you know what, $19.99, not so bad?
When it comes to the Call of Duty side of it, not for me, because I'm not a Call of Duty player. So, I have recently allowed my Game Pass to lapse, because I just haven't been playing anything in it, right? So Actually, the current game I'm actually playing, funny enough, I didn't have it on my bingo card, but I've been like deeply into Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yes.
So I was kind of like, well, I'm playing this. I'm not really playing anything else. And my Game Pass was kind of coming up to the end. I was like, I'm not going to renew it yet. I'll hold off until your avoweds hit and things like that. There are a couple of games that dropped last week that I do want to check out. So I have a couple of codes. I just haven't activated them yet. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to activate it. Just have it sitting there. But from the Call of Duty side of it, it does nothing for me because I don't play COD. But like Death Singer was saying, he thinks it will make. You'll be goofy to think that it won't make some kind of difference, but
Absolutely.
How will it have a long tail?
Right.
And I think who it will affect the most are people who are not hardcore necessarily for Call of Duty, but are going to kind of dabble around. So maybe they jump in. Their yearly Call of Duty thing is maybe they play for a few months and then they're kind of done with it, right?
Yes.
And maybe those are the people who will jump in, and I think Microsoft might be okay with that. Like you get it for a couple months and then you're gone. I know they want people to stick. But I don't think I honestly just don't know. We'll see. This will be the canary in the coal mine because if Call of Duty can't move the needle, nothing can. But I just personally think anyone who plays Call of Duty hardcore are probably, and if they're on another platform, not necessarily going to drop a platform like a PlayStation 2 run over and play it in Game Pass just because it's there, because it's just not month to month to month subscribing to something and adding a subscription onto something else you may already have and managing all these subscriptions. That might not be appealing or intriguing.
Yeah,
as opposed to just buying a copy and rocking out and you're done,
Yeah, I tweeted it out the other day. It may have been yesterday or the day before. Brand new copy right now at GameStop. Shout out to the great Gaming Forte. Hopefully he can join us later. $29.99 brand new for Modern Warfare 3, and you own the game. That's the thing. I think Death Singer kind of put it best. He said, we're going to have to wait to really see the gauge for Black Ops 6, right? Because this game here, if you're a fan, Eric, you just said it yourself, you're not a fan of Call of Duty games and that multiplayer space right there. So, Eric, for you, this is kind of a non-issue. But for folks like myself, and I'm not going to speak for the other millions of people, but the millions of other Call of Duty fans generally get the game between, I'll say, the October release and let's just say the holiday, right? So a lot of that has already occurred. Death Singer said it. Eric, you just said it. I do agree with you. I guess I'll go ahead and say, I'll pose the question to the great Wooly Gamer. Wooly, I don't know your enthusiasm when it comes to Call of Duty, but do you agree with what Singer and Eric are saying, that basically good on Microsoft to put Modern Warfare 3 in there, but we're really going to have to wait till October to see how the actual needle moves as far as Game Pass subscriptions?
Yeah, I mostly agree on... the thing is, Call of Duty is like it's a snowball. It's a snowball when it comes to that just gets bigger and bigger when it comes to how sweaty it is. Right, it's a really sweaty, hardcore game. It demands a hardcore player base that are devoted to the game. It kind of escalates. The noobs keep getting killed all the time, and they just put the game down and give up and don't play again. And so it kind of necessitates a grind to get good. And with that, well, I can't imagine even 5% of that player base would wait for the game to come to Game Pass and not buy it. Right. They've already bought it because they're a sweaty player base. They're now gearing up for Modern Warfare 4 or whatever, and it's like it's like, yeah, okay, Microsoft have released it on Game Pass, but I don't know why they haven't released all the COD games. Like, it's all kind of like strategic, and it's like, well, where's the strategy actually when you think about it? Because it's Modern Warfare 3. I mean, it's like it released when, like last year or the year before. It got abysmal reviews because it was just recycled, kind of haphazardly put together garbage of a campaign, and the multiplayer is decent, but it's kind of it's been out there already. So I think the player base demographic, ultimately this comes down to the same old kind of Microsoft Achilles heel. They just don't really think carefully about the gamer mentality, and they don't understand it. They don't try to understand it. You know, if they tried to understand it, they would have realized that they can't have a Netflix of gaming. You know, it doesn't work like that. Movie watchers watch new films every day. Avid movie fans, they are always watching the next thing. They're not constantly watching the same thing every day. Whereas gamers will play the same thing year on, year out until the next annual release and staple. So it just doesn't apply to the gaming demographic, what they're trying to achieve with Game Pass by appealing to the 70% of gamers. No, you're going to appeal to the 30%, but then you've really got to try and appeal them away from their current platform. So you need to do more than simply give people an option to rent games to do that. You need to give them exclusive content that's exclusively locked to Game Pass to incentivize Game Pass to grow. So I just think, you know, this is a reflection of that again. You know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, like every Call of Duty, it's a sweaty, hardcore demographic of players who are dedicated to the game like Apex Legends. They will have already played that game. They will already have it. So where's the new subscriber count going to come from? Nobody's going to subscribe to Game Pass to play Modern Warfare 3. They will have already played it or got it or just can't be bothered with it. You know?
Yeah, I don't think it moves the needle for Modern Warfare 3. I think I would call that goodwill. Well, Willie, I'll go in reverse order here. Let me go ahead and say this. Shout out to the chat. The chat's making some great points here. So let's talk about Battlefield for a second. We haven't talked about Battlefield. Apparently, they went back to the drawing board, in air quotes, again. They would really have to warm the Mooch up, because you guys know I've never really been a Battlefield fan. I've more leaned towards Call of Duty. But they said they are going back to the drawing board. So, Willie, two questions here. Do we expect, and the reason I have part B, I have to ask you right after, is do you expect Sony PlayStation to make a deal for Battlefield and say, hey, look, we'll have that third party big game still on our console as far as marketing rights, etc. But the reason my caveat and part B to it is all these years, Battlefield's always been EA, always been with Microsoft, Xbox.
Always been better, bro. It's always been better.
So,
right?
So, you know, I mean, shout out to Blaze 4K. Blaze says Battlefield is the best FPS. There's a lot of people that feel that way.
It's so good, bro. 2042, like, it's like an Anthem scenario. It's good, bro. It's a good game. Like, you can't knock the production values and like it's really, really impressive. People, you know, yeah, it had its issues for the first year, and you know, but there are a lot of ambitious ideas behind it that I think people just don't really kind of acknowledge. I don't know why, but I obviously it will never be Battlefield 4 in its later stage, or Battlefield 3, the GOAT. And Battlefield 2 will always hold a special place in my heart. You know, them good old days on the PC when you couldn't see 5 meters in front of you.
Right.
But it was just an incredible game. I loved it so much. But you know, Battlefield, it will always have a devoted fan base, and 2042 wasn't it. You know, I can understand that, but at the same time, I think if you play it now, you'll appreciate it more than when it than when it launched. I don't see, as for your question, Mooch, I don't see the necessity to get exclusivity on Battlefield, because again, Xbox hasn't got the it hasn't got the player base to make it deemed as, you know, a direct competitive rival to PlayStation anymore. You know, like PlayStation already have the monopoly in that regard. They already have the majority of players. They'll get marketing rights for sure because it's a big game, but I can't see them needing to make it exclusive. I just don't see it necessary. I don't see Game Pass being on all consoles and all platforms, but on Game Pass being a detractor from Battlefield on PlayStation. I don't see it, especially when Call of Duty is on PlayStation as well.
Well, you make a good point. I don't think that. No, I didn't mean exclusive. I just meant getting the marketing rights again. I see a few people. For sure. A few people in the chat are saying that they've read that, you know, Sony and EA have gotten close. I mean, they may be. I haven't seen that myself personally. I know that EA and Microsoft have always had some sort of a very close relationship. The great J-Dub is back with us. Jay, hope everything's all right. Jay, I was just asking if you thought Modern Warfare 3 and Game Pass would make a big difference, or if you have to actually wait for Black Ops 6 to move the needle at all on the Game Pass numbers and subscriptions?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a difference. If you haven't played Modern Warfare 3 by now, nine times out of 10, you would, if you have Game Pass, you would just give it a try and then go back to whatever you were doing previously. I'll be honest, I don't even think Black Ops 6 is going to make a big difference.
Okay.
Outside of obviously the Xbox guys trying it day one, and then they'll default back to whatever it is they do every day. We'll see with the numbers.
Yeah.
You know you're going to hear the engagement numbers going to come back, right? It's going to rear its ugly head. We've had so many players, but I don't think ultimately with sales, I think people are going to continue to buy it on PlayStation 5 and continue to buy it on PC, and everybody else who's interested in Call of Duty, they'll just buy it, or if they have Game Pass, they'll give it a try, and then after that, they'll go back to doing whatever.
The engagement numbers will be funny, Jay. We'll see 7 million people did a precision airstrike on Tuesday night. Yeah, all kinds of things like that. Will come out.
It'll be But
fun,
you got to
right?
keep in mind there's only 20 something, 22, 23 million Xbox consoles out in the wild. The bulk of Call of Duty has always been on PS5 on PlayStation and PC, so that's not going to change. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see how many people are going to go out and buy Fire Sticks and Samsung TVs and other things to see how you can get those numbers increased. But
so Jay, I'll ask you this question here, and then I want to. And by the way, Death Singer and Eric, if you guys want to chime in after Jay, please just jump in whenever at will. Jay, do you think that Sony does go after the marketing rights because Battlefield is apparently going back to the drawing board? They're going back to redo it. I think after, what was it, 2042? I know that there's a lot of Battlefield fans. I see them in the chat right now. So no disrespect at all if you enjoyed that game, but I don't think that the magnitude that they were looking to get out of that game, they actually did. A lot of the launch issues, etc. So, Jay, let's say they come back and they do something a little bit more Twitch shooter-ish, if you will. Does Sony say, hey, you know what? I don't mean exclusive either. I want to make that very clear. I don't mean exclusive. I just mean the marketing rights. Will they kind of latch onto that now that they're not going to be able to ever have marketing rights again for a game like Call of Duty? So will they do that? Or do you think because of EA's strong relationship with Microsoft, Xbox, that's probably a pipe dream? That's not going to happen.
I'll be honest. Right now, it's hard, if not impossible, for Xbox to get anybody's marketing rights. Only because it costs so much, because they have such a extremely small install base. So just by default, everything is going to PlayStation. That's why most people have already conceded that GTA is 9 times out of 10 going to have a marketing deal just by default with PlayStation. Battlefield's probably going to be the same thing. It kind of going to cost little to nothing to do a marketing deal with PlayStation because they have the extremely large install base. It's just, it's not that it can't be done. It's just Microsoft is going to have to spend that much more amount of money on that. And when you have the biggest shooter in the world, when you own that IP, it's probably going to have the adverse effect. You have the biggest shooter on the market. Why are you going out here? According to Satya probably says that, or Amy Hood. Why are we going out still spending money on all of this stuff when we've spent $100 billion on the biggest studios in the world? Why are we doing that? So just by default, I think from here on out, PlayStation is just a go-to for all the marketing deals and all the accessories and controllers and all that stuff. It's just a place to be, just because of the install base and just the way the dynamics rolling. I mean, right now Microsoft is telling you don't need a console. Go buy a Fire Stick, go play it on your browser, play it on your TV, play it on your mobile phone.
Yeah, play it on PC, play it anywhere.
That's just where it is. So why would you market something when hell, they're saying play it on PlayStation, play it on Nintendo. So either way, PlayStation wins in that case. So it would be useless for Microsoft to spend any money getting anything.
Jay, you really debunked that really well. That's a good point. If Microsoft has spent their time and energy in their advertising to say play it anywhere but Xbox, then yeah, if you're making a game and you're trying to sell to console sales, you probably by default would go to PlayStation, right? So, Eric, I got to say, and I go to Eric Jackson here, you know, the great B Money. I'll give a shout out to Brap here, Brap, podcast member of yours. The great B Money says, Mooch, it will not be a Twitch shooter. He says it's going back to classic Battlefield. So B Money being a big fan of that. Eric, what do you think? I usually, let me tell you something right now. I am not a gambling man, Eric, but I do not bet against B Money. That's one of the things I've learned over the years.
That's Beastradamus. You don't ever go against Beastradamus, man. You just let him cook.
Let him cook.
So if he says that, then I'm inclined to agree with him. And he would definitely know better than me because, again, I'm not the biggest multiplayer person. So, again, I leave that to more capable, educated gentlemen like on this panel and B Money. So if B says it's going to be a Twitch shooter, it's not going to be a Twitch shooter. It'll be classic BF. Hey.
Well, so there you go, Eric. I'm right there. I hear you, and that's a vote of confidence for B. B's supposed to be joining us shortly. I can't wait to get B on the show. We've got so much to talk about. Wooly, what do you think? Wooly, you're a Battlefield guy. I mean,
I am.
So you hear B Money saying they're going back to a traditional Battlefield. It's not going to become a Twitch shooter. Are you? Does that warm your heart?
Well, yeah, it does, because Battlefield always prided itself of being the middle ground between Call of Duty and Arma. Right? It was the middle ground. It was the perfect happy place, right? And it was the Goldilocks first person shooter. It just had everything, and it was gritty. It was grounded. It was weighty, and I mean, still to this day, I marvel at how Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 have aged. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. And if we could go back to that, I mean, if there's one thing that I would love, just as a personal thing of mine, what I would really love for them to do differently about Battlefield is sniping. I would love them to implement a heart monitor mechanic where if you make fast moves with the sniper, your heart increases in speed and your aiming is worse, which it requires, therefore, genuine, slow, concise movements with sniping and patience, right?
Yes.
The perk, though, is that there's no longer sniper glint, right? And you can camouflage better and you don't stick out like a sore thumb. Like, if they took away sniper glint, because you literally advertise to everyone, because everyone can see your scope glinting, like, this is a mechanic that everybody, like, I just think it takes away the element of being a sniper. You're just stuck out like a Christmas tree. And I think if they rather made sniping more difficult in the sense that it rewards patience, like if you watch that Grandpa gaming guy, he's flipping incredible. Like, he's this old
I know who it is. Yeah.
He plays Battlefield exactly how I would like Battlefield to design sniping to be around, where he's, you
I would also, Willie, I would also like it. I like everything you're saying right there. One of my biggest gripes with Battlefield is that it felt like someone from across the map of the size of Warzone could snipe you from 17 miles away.
It's funny you should say that. That brings up Battlefield 3, Gulf of Oman, right?
Yes.
If you play as the US, you start on an aircraft carrier, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Now, my favorite thing was to get a sniper rifle, and you would have a battle, right? Because these guys would climb up to the top of the towers, and you would lie down prone on the aircraft carrier, and you would just have a sniping match all the way across the map, and it's the most satisfying thing, getting a headshot. Because obviously, that was why I liked Battlefield more than Call of Duty. To be fair, at that time, that was like the pinnacle of shooting, because you had Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, Black Ops 2, Battlefield 4, all within a couple of years time span, and they are all just fantastic shooters. But that was funny because the bullet drop, and it's so satisfying when you got it right and you just snipe someone out of the tower. And that's all I did was just lie down on the aircraft carrier and have a sniping battle. Sometimes you died, sometimes you didn't, and it was just a fun little mini game you could play whilst everyone's
Do we know, Deathsinger, do we know when the estimated time for the new Battlefield? Are we expecting it in 25? Is it a 26 title? I mean, has anybody heard anything about this?
No idea. Probably 26, I would imagine, right?
Okay, that sounds
Or
fair.
something, because I don't know what they're up to. They have, how many studios? They had like 10 studios working on it, so I would imagine. Who knows when it comes out, but if they stick it to the original, like Battlefield 3 and 4 was, that will be peak Battlefield gameplay. That will be peak Battlefield, because I want to relive Metro 24/7, which you do nothing. You just walk into the building, you randomly die from some random grenade. Like you don't even shoot. You just throw grenades in some direction, you get a kill, right? And it's fantastic in Conquest.
We can all agree Battlefield 4 is peak. Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, there's very few first-person shooter experiences.
The great Sir X-Man,
really
the great Sir X-Man agrees with you. Forte, with a great gaming Forte is with us. Forte, do we have you for the full 2 hours? I hope you enjoyed your vacation last week. Slow-Mo said you only get 1 week off, so I believe DPS is going to be on at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight.
Yeah, you got me until I gotta post the show and go live.
So Forte, let's talk about this.
It's like 8:45.
All right, well, Forte, I'll take all the time I can get with the great gaming Forte. Forte, I was just promoting GameStop. GameStop selling. Well, I have it on my phone. It's on my app. I could get the physical copy of Modern Warfare 3 right now for PS5, brand new, $29.99.
$30, baby.
Yeah, so I mean, we were asking a question. I think the entire panel, even the audience, even the Xbox guys in the audience are saying this may not be the one that moves the needle. Maybe it'll be Black Ops 6, but J-Dub made some really good points. Forte, when are you expecting to see these Activision games in Game Pass start to make some progress for Microsoft?
I mean, that honestly really comes down to Microsoft. Like, when are they going to, like right now, they did some promotion of it, but it really comes down to like how hard they're really going to hit it. Because they already talked about, the future being off platform when it comes to like all of their games going forward and everything, and how you don't need a console and everything like that. I think they're just trying to find a way to get as many people into that ecosystem that don't have a console, or if they're on PC or something like that. But it just really comes down to their marketing pitch that they have, which, let's be for real, they haven't been at all great at over the course of the last couple of generations. So that's why you kind of be skeptical about it. But the biggest thing that ultimately comes down to, I do think it's going to make a little difference, because you can't say it's not going to make no impact. It's going to have some impact. Now, is the impact going to be you're going to have 10 million people move from one to the other? No, not even. It won't even probably be 2 million people, or 1 million people won't even do it. The biggest impact is going to be what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years once they really settle in and everybody knows that Call of Duty is, pretty much, owned by Xbox, and Game Pass is going to be where it launches at and everything. The long plan is going to be how's the roadmap for Call of Duty and how they're going to talk about it, once it's still being on PlayStation.
Right.
How they talk about it going into the next generation. So I pretty much, like I told everybody before, Call of Duty is just a little additive that they have for the rest of this generation. This generation has pretty much been whatever. It's pretty much been over for a while. What's the conversation going to be when people, have the option to go out and pitch up another system or another console and stuff like that? We see what NCAA is doing. People kept talking like consoles are dead. I was like, you're a goddamn lie, because people just ain't had a reason to buy a console.
That's right.
Because why buy something if you don't have to buy it? If they're telling you that, by the games that are releasing, by saying like all of these games that you can still play are on the older consoles, and you don't care about all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Just stick on what you have. So that's going to kind of be the same narrative that's going to happen in like 2026. Well, not 2026, like 2027, 2028, when we start hearing news about what the next gen consoles are going to be and stuff like that. PS4, PS5 Pro, and whatever Xbox does with their next console or the console before then, it's going to be the same conversation.
Jay.
I mean, we already know it's a Fire Stick, sir. Well, we're talking about we already know the Fire Stick is going to be like the most pushed thing ever. They're going to make sure that everybody knows about
the thing that I just don't get about the Fire. Sorry.
I'm going to say, Forte, do you have any inside word on what's going on with the PS5 Pro? Come on, let's put the news out here first, Forte.
I would have DM'd you a long time ago if I
know that.
I'd have been like, listen, man, you got to.
Well, you know, it's funny, Forte. We had somebody on the show, and I don't remember who said it. It was last week or the week before, and somebody goes, "Geez, I really, my biggest concern, because I always say Moochonomics. I'm going to be trading in my PS5s for the Pro, because if you do the math, it really does work out for that. You get that extra money. I saw upwards of $375. Somebody in chat, I think it was Ocelot that did the homework for us in the chat. He's here tonight. Said $350 or $370 for a PS5.
$355 right now if you trade in your base PS5. If you got rid of it now.
Do the math, folks. If it's $550 for a PS5 Pro, say they even go up $50 on that, and you're getting $350 for your base, and then you're only going to get $175, $150 if you wait the duration of the generation out, and then the new one is going to be $550, $600, $175. You might as well continue to progress and enjoy the latest and greatest for your hobby. I just think it makes sense, dollars and cents, if you have the expendable cash. But so yeah, Forte's saying that. I just think that's a smart move overall. We'll see what happens. I do think
keep your stuff, keep your hardware current. If you have the money to keep it current,
that's right. If you have the money to do it,
because current stuff will always vid you more money, even if you don't trade it into like a big box retailer like GameStop or anything like that. Just sell it yourself. You'll get more money for it because it's a newer thing versus people look at those things from 2017 like, what's that? I don't want that.
No, I completely agree with you. If it's within your financial means, I always say you should update it. I really, really do, especially if you enjoy it. If you're on the panel or you're listening to the show week in and week out and you really, really dig it, I think it's you get the best of all worlds. I really do believe. But I do want to say this. Go ahead, Forte.
I do want to say this though, because you were talking about my heart, Battlefield.
Yes,
one of the greatest things ever. It's real interesting when you hear everybody on this panel in unison pretty much say the best Battlefield games are the ones that literally had the most problems.
Yeah, that's
the ones that literally you had to fight tooth and nail through just to enjoy the game, but the gameplay was so fun. You were willing to deal with lag, desync, weapon delivery.
The USAS 12 with frag rounds sniping across the map.
Bro, it was ridiculous. It was like I pride myself in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. It was something on those games. And guess what? Servers were having issues. They would crash. You would have desync. You would have bullet deviation. And guess what? I loved every second of it.
There it
every
is.
second of it. And Battlefield 2042, pretty much in the same boat. I'm ranked 176 in that game, and it's going to be interesting to see what the next Battlefield. But to answer that question with what's the name said, nah, bro. If they ever made Battlefield Twitch, I would quit Battlefield.
Yeah, well, the great big money says
it's because that is the differential between Call of Duty and Battlefield. That's the only reason you could play both of them, because it's like when you pick up Battlefield, you're picking that up to have an experience. It's like with a team, and you're also just the mind games you could play with people in that game versus in Call of Duty, dude. Just run around the corner and you could just see somebody and they die. And
that's right.
That's what I like about it the most. And people talk about the sniping in Battlefield. It's harder than you think.
It is.
It's hard. It's hard to hit somebody for 300 meters, bro.
I agree. I'm sure there's some.
It's hard.
Forte, it's crazy you say that, because I remember in the DLC they had the L96, the British sniper rifle, and to unlock it, if I recall, you had to get 3 headshots over.
It was over 1,500 meters or something.
Yeah, it was over 1,500 meters, and I spent all day just on Go for Goal, man. Trying to get that achievement, just sniping constantly.
That gun has the velocity of the bullets on that gun literally take the bullet deviate, the bullet drop away.
My favorite sniper.
So the reason they say, guess what? Get 1,500, what was it? Yeah, 3 kills, headshots over 1,500 meters with a sniper. That's almost impossible to get in that game. So if you do get it, you deserve to have a gun that has no bullet drop, because guess what? You can kill somebody with any gun in that game if you can kill somebody from 1,500 feet with all the wind.
But then it had less accuracy as well, didn't it? It had less accuracy.
It had way less accuracy. You had to be dead on with it, right on their head, in order to get those kills with that gun.
That was just the absolute craziest thing was the way they handled the DLC as well. Sure, the microtransactions were a bit weird, where you could unlock all the weapons for a class. Remember the packs you could buy, like the assault booster thing, where you could unlock all the guns and stuff. I was like, okay, but when they brought in renting a server, where you could rent your own servers, that was the best thing in Battlefield.
Metro 24/7 all day.
Yeah, it's Metro 24/7. That is the only server people were going, and there was always a queue to get into it. At peak times, you'd be in the queue, like, oh, come on, let me in, please. Someone drop out or lag out or something.
So let me
go to work.
So Singer,
I think Mooch, you would enjoy it more than you think you would, because the fact that you play Warzone, and
I love Warzone.
It's the biggest part of Call of Duty. It's pretty much what Call of Duty is. You're just not playing as fast paced in Warzone as you do in Battlefield.
The only thing I would say, and I see a lot of longtime Mooch maniacs here in the chat, like, Mooch, you don't really care for Battlefield. The reason I've never really cared for it in the past was I don't like I play it so little in the past that I really don't even know. Is it Concourse that is the one that's similar? Conquest. That's the closest one to your typical team deathmatch, correct?
No.
I know that.
No, Team Deathmatch is Team Deathmatch.
Oh, I thought
Conquest is
control point.
It's like domination.
Oh,
no.
So wait a minute. So which is the one where there's like 100 people in the match and everyone's running
around?
On
the game mode. Depends on the game mode.
Yeah, it does.
I just think that's insane. Having like 100 and 150 people in the lobby, like you're just like you're just
on the sides of those maps, though, bro. You barely see people. Like
you
have to travel.
You say that, but then you see the glint from like 7,000 meters away, and you're dead. It's just
but don't be running. Okay, but let me ask you this, Mooch. If you see a glint, are you literally going to run in a straight line?
Absolutely not, Forte. But I mean,
okay. So if that person shoots you with that glint from so far
but there
away,
might be
he did a really good job at aiming you down and getting you.
But like you said,
it's
a huge map, though. There's people doing it from all corners. So yeah, I'm not running straight into it, but I mean, it's everywhere.
Mooch. I have a strategy for you, right? You see the glint, yeah? You put C4 on a Jeep. You get in the Jeep.
Yes.
You drive that straight at the person. You jump out of the Jeep and detonate it. Right.
How about you?
All right, this weekend, I need to have Forte.
Well, even
and
better,
Singer
just drop
and Wooly.
Guess what?
And we go through Battlefield,
and then just run to the next thing, and you're fine.
And actually, to be fair, you won't be able to focus on the glint, because one of your allies will be trying to fly one of the fighter jets, and they'll just randomly fall out of the sky because they don't know how to pilot it.
Aha! See, that's one of my other things, Forte. See, there's a plane out of nowhere lands on your head. All right, so listen, I do want to move on to another part of this. Singer, let me ask you this, because we have a lot to get to. And guys, the great B Money and Porter Rock are supposed to be joining us, and hopefully Jay, I don't know if Jay's having internet problems or if he's just using his phone and it's dipping in and out of service, but hopefully the great J-Dub is going to join us back again in a second. Singer, while you have the microphone, I'll go to you here. So real quick, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. Microsoft may be adding, this is all rumor-based, ad-based or cloud-only Game Pass tiers. I saw a lot of people online, which is why I put it as a topic. A lot of people were like, just when I thought it was already confusing enough, they throw there's possibly another tier or two coming. What do you think about that when it comes down to it, Singer? Is having an ad-based and cloud-only, I mean, I understand, right? Xbox's whole deal is, the generation of options. They've been doing this since the middle of Xbox One's era. Is enough? And then they're going to have a family tier, there's a rumor. So there's just so many tiers of Game Pass, and there's not enough people even signing up to the 3 or 4 options that are there now.
To be fair, it is kind of stupid having some, like, the family plan. Lots of people have asked for it, so I understand that, right? Lots of people have asked. They have kids, and their kids use Game Pass, and they use Game Pass. So they're like, okay, family plan, that makes perfect sense, because then you don't have to buy individual ones. Okay, right. So I'm happy with the family plan. People actually want
That's fine. That's fair.
The cloud tier, nobody wants that. Like, if you're playing cloud on PC, you're probably using GeForce Now, which is the superior experience. Because
I was literally wanting to talk about that.
Because if you pay for the upper tier, you get a 4080, the equivalent of a 4080 graphics card. You get ray tracing. You get all the wonderful bells and whistles. Like, if you ever had a laptop, right? You're like, I really want to play Cyberpunk in 4K. But you
With
have it in your
ray tracing.
library. Yeah, and you're like, but my laptop can't do it. Go get yourself GeForce now. You'll go into your library and then run that bitch at 4K with the ray tracing. And that's just marvelous. But no one's going to go to xCloud for what? You're not getting any boost or uplift. You're just playing the same game that's just going to be
Exactly taking the words out of my mouth, bro.
a horrible experience.
Mhm.
So nobody's asking for this. So putting the cloud tier is redundant and pointless, because who's it for?
Right.
Is it for the people walking around with their smartphones? Maybe you might get like 2 people. It's not for the PC players. We got GeForce now. Ain't no one caring about no xCloud. So it's redundant. So doing it does absolutely nothing. You're better off leaving xCloud as a perk for the ultimate tier. And just leave it at that.
And leaving it there. I do agree with you. And I like your point
It's
about the
literally
family
for
plan.
Curious TV owners. It's literally just for TV, curious TV watchers who don't really game. I swear. It's so bad.
Shout out to the Elemental Hero. He says, Mooch, yeah, but we're forgetting what they said from the courtroom saying we're not going to change Game Pass immediately. Well, Microsoft has definitely kind of stepped back. It'll be interesting to see what some of the official quotes will be from Microsoft's defense on that. We got a couple of great super chats here. Willie Gamer out to mentions to Danelle Brown. Danelle, he goes, play Fortnite on your Fire Stick. So a little bit of a jab there. The great Sir X-Man says, Mooch, Battlefield is the only shooter I buy day one. Shout out to the great Sir X-Man. He was on the show last week. Great having Sir X-Man back on the show. You're talking about rush mode in Battlefield. Rush mode is probably is that the one with the 7,000 people running around on a map? And, airplanes and tanks are falling on your head.
They can play any game mode, can pretty much have it. But Rush is the one where it's like infantry only, and not all infantry, but you like one team has a point that they have to defend, and the other team has to take those points. So it's like moving a dam down the river basically when you're playing that. It's fun.
Shout out to Liquid Data. He says, Battlefield is the military shooter that gave you a reason to have a 50 cal rifle. Shout out to Liquid. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I agree. 100%.
There it is. And going back to that was going back to the other subject here, but God Emperor Sofa King says he disagrees with you, Singer. He says, I disagree if you just have a Fire Stick. He's saying that is what that tier would be very useful for. I think Singer, I don't want to speak for you, but would you agree that he's not wrong, but I think the point of the matter is that that's probably a small populace, right?
He isn't wrong. Yeah, for someone like a Fire Stick, the cloud tier would probably be like, oh, good. But how many people are actually rushing out to get this Fire Stick? Like, what's the sales going to be? How many people are actually use this tier?
Yeah.
Like, if you're just doing it, you might sub for a month and then call it a day. Like, it's not going to do... There's no redeeming feature for it.
So the only problem I have with the whole situation around this, because it should be a tier that is streaming only. The only reason there's not a tier for it is because Microsoft doesn't want to invest in that only being a main tier that's in their profile for it. Because basically right now they're using their Game Pass Ultimate gamers players to test this, basically, because they're the one that's going out and buying Fire Sticks, seeing what the latency is like, because it's already tied into that tier. So if they really, really, truly wanted this to take off or really wanted to see what the data looked like, they would have its own separate tier. Because guess what? A person that has a console, 90% of those people aren't looking at a Fire Stick. This is meant for the people that don't have a console, and if they don't have a console, why would they have why would they have services for a console that they don't have?
Right.
So that's why I always felt like this should have its own identity when it came to, like, hey, when you buy this, here's, even if you comes in a box with like 3 months worth of xCloud servicing, and then it ties into another tier later on at a subsidized price for the beginning, just to see if you could get into the ecosystem. That would even be a better chance. But they basically expect you to buy this and then get into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to be able to actually use it, which I don't understand.
Yeah, it's baffling to me, man, because it's just like, the thing I always see with Microsoft is like, to me, they're always talking to the same base, but expecting a different result.
Yes.
You know, it's
Great
like
point, Eric.
anyone who's on a Fire Stick, a casual gamer, whatever you want to call them, mostly there to watch something, or if they have Prime, they're buying or whatever, but they're usually watching something on Prime, right? So right next to where you have, Xbox Game Pass, you also have Amazon Luna and all this other stuff. So it's like, who are you actually talking to? Because anyone who's going to pick up a Fire Stick to try out Xbox games, it's like they're going for this long shot that, okay, well, they'll play it in, their Fire Stick, then they'll subscribe to Game Pass, and then maybe they'll pick up a console, or maybe they'll, they have a PC. That's a whole lot of what ifs.
It is,
Eric.
I
the
like
only ones that are hyping it are, once again, the same hardcore base who will do and pick up anything, no matter what it is, and sit on Twitter and fight with everyone and try to convince everyone that this is the future and this is where everything is going. And again, Mooch, what we always said on CrossFire is the market will always dictate where things are going. Because remember, when Game Pass was first announced, it was the future of all gaming.
Everything is going that way.
Some of you creators need to start saying this is the future for Microsoft. Stop saying it's the future of all gaming. And now they backed off of that. And now it's, across the board, everybody's going to be putting their games everywhere. Still haven't seen that yet.
It's like
that's right.
Why is a coach of a championship team isn't going to the coach of the bummy team to ask him about his strategies?
Damn.
Yeah.
It's like I said, they don't. I said at the beginning, they just don't. I don't think they've thought through or understand their demographics, the gaming demographic.
They don't have a culture. I've been saying this forever. Their culture around gaming was the strongest in the 360 generation. And dudes will fight with you on Twitter, but if you say this, I'm like, their culture is the jack of all trades, the master of none.
It's so corporate now. It's literally a bunch of CEOs in a boardroom. There's no understanding there. And even like I just said before, the Fire Stick is literally for TV watchers, and it is like nobody. It's not for gamers, and it's like but they think it's for gamers. They market it like it's for gamers, and it's like nobody's interested in buying a Fire Stick for video games, because the people who buy Fire Sticks are people who want a Fire Stick for Amazon, for Netflix, for all their movies, for pirating movies and watching movies on on the low key. Like that's why people own a Fire Stick. It's for TV viewers and movie viewers. Like it's like, so who's this for? What are you doing exactly? They cannibalize every initiative they have. They burn a load of money into an initiative, but literally shoot themselves in the foot day one. They did the exact thing with Game Pass by not locking content down to make it exclusive to Game Pass, to make Game Pass a necessity. They kept watering down the necessity to subscribe by putting the games out on Steam and Xbox to buy, and now even PlayStation. It's like, well, if you want to reach these targets, then you really got to make this a necessity. Oh, I really want to play Starfield. Oh, it's only on Game Pass. Oh, wait, Game Pass is really cheap. Oh, I might as well subscribe to Game Pass. Like that's literally what they needed to do, and they didn't. They cannibalize everything. Sales are cannibalized by Game Pass. Game Pass is decentralized by other platforms, and it's like they've done the same with the Fire Stick. It's like, well, they just don't have a clue, bro. It baffles my head. They're just full of random ideas that don't mesh together or do anything, or don't gel well.
I'll play defense here for a second, devil's advocate, Willie, because it's not that I disagree with what you or Eric said at all, but I think if, what's going back into my mind and resonating from earlier on the show, what J-Dub was saying is, they're advertising you don't need a console, pushing the consoles out. They're stopping advertising in Europe for the console. They're clearly just saying we are going to put our products everywhere at this point, Willie. So even though I think that everything that singer said, Eric, and you make sense, if we're just following along and we're reading the script, it just seems to hold water. Microsoft is not concerned about anything else. Right,
it's only, though I agree, who's going to be excited for a Fire Stick with that message? Like, who owns an Xbox Series X and goes, yeah, you know what? That sounds awesome. I'm going to now go and buy a Fire Stick so I can play my game at, barely 30 frames per second, 1080p, a low resolution and an S, because because I don't need my Xbox Series X that I've got hooked up to my TV anymore because Microsoft said so. Only the zomboids, the corporate loving zomboids, shout out to Post Up, my dude, will buy that and cheerlead that. You know, like, and market that and go, yeah, you're so right, Phil. What a great idea this is. Like,
I know you guys. Willie, you talk about. Go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, and listen, it's a Hail Mary at this point. It's all a Hail Mary. They're just throwing stuff out there and see what sticks. Matter of fact, this is so how out of touch they are. Fire Stick was a thing before we had smart TVs, right? You needed a dongle. Well, who in the hell doesn't own a smart TV that has all kind of apps that's on there that can't be updated? Everybody owns. So you have to go out and buy, go and buy something that you're only going to use for one thing because your TV at home has the YouTube, the HBO Max, and all the apps in there. So it's just they're kind of like. I don't know, like how many people out there in the market for this? The people who are gamers who want to play these type of games, who want to play Call of Duty and these Xbox games, those people already own an Xbox, a PC, some other kind of console, or they're just clearly not interested in the Xbox or what they have to offer. That's just, it is what it is. You're going out there marketing towards something that doesn't exist, or a very handful of people would want to do that. It's just, that's why I don't think there's going to be any budge. There's not going to be any increase of anything. It's just not fair. They've tried with Samsung TVs. Everybody owns a Samsung TV, right? Mm-hmm. Probably more people own a Samsung TV than own a Fire Stick. And yet that uptick didn't change anything, right? You saw more upticks. You saw more upticks when they put Sea of Thieves and Grounded on PlayStation than you see any of the stuff of them offering for Xbox.
Yeah.
So I just think they're just trying stuff to see if there's
it's like what Death Singer said.
Market there.
With GeForce Now being available as an app on TV as well, it's a wrap, bro.
Yeah.
Like GeForce, I've literally got on my bio on Twitter GeForce Now advocate because it is absolutely exceptional.
It works.
Steam Deck and GeForce Now is a thing of beauty. I'm playing No Man's Sky, ultra settings, rock solid 60, flawless. Input latency is lower than natively playing on an Xbox Series X, proven by Digital Foundry, and on just 60 megabits speed internet connection. So that works out at just under 10 megabytes per second. I am getting like crisp, gorgeous, responsive gameplay at max settings. Like, what more could a gamer ask for on his handheld?
There is a drawback to GeForce Now. You need to own the game. So you need to buy the game.
That's not a drawback to me.
No. But like, if someone was to compare xCloud to that for GeForce Now, for example, xCloud you could just play the games in Game Pass already in there through your xCloud, whereas GeForce Now, you have to have a game in your library on Steam in order to play it on GeForce Now.
But there's also perks with GeForce is that not only is that retroactive, so all your library that you've bought or your backlog on Steam is whatever's compatible with GeForce Now is straight away, bam, you're able to play it. But GeForce Now's monster rigs, their 4080 super rigs through Ultimate, they're hooked up to some like gigabyte per second internet. And so you can click on any game you own and instantly it's downloaded in like not even a minute. It's there, it's ready to play and boot up. And it's so quick, it's so fast. So it feels like, oh wow, how about Dungeons of, what's that game called? That's just called Hinker, Dungeons of
Hinkerberg,
right? Absolutely incredible game, loving it, right? That's like $17.99 on Steam. Oh, I want to play that. Okay, bam, bought it. Bam, it's there, downloaded, ready to play on GeForce Now Ultimate. And the thing that GeForce Now Ultimate does so well is that it's so seamless. You forget you're streaming it because it's so crisp and so responsive. Like, it doesn't feel like you're streaming it. So it feels like to me like there's far more. There's higher performance. There's higher visual fidelity. There's higher image quality on GeForce Now Ultimate.
So Willie, why do you, and you've been boasting about this for a while. My question for you, because I don't, I don't feel the need to pay for that. You have a PS5. I mean, you could easily buy yourself a gaming PC, gaming laptop, whatever you want. What makes you exactly? So what makes you want to subscribe to that? Where is it because of your job and you travel a lot?
Well, I just think it's really good for mobile gaming. So I've got a phone I've got a Kishi Razer 2 handheld device, but I've also got a Steam Deck. And so, like, it is such a perfect app just to chill on your sofa and use it to play. And it syncs to your Steam and to your Epic Games. So your progress made natively on your PC transfers across over to your GeForce. So, like, you pick up right where you left off. And it's just why. It's hard to explain why it appeals so strong to me, but it's a bit like the PlayStation Portal experience, right? Why buy that when you got a PS5? Well, there is something about just sitting back and enjoying high fidelity gaming on the sofa, right? Especially for family men, busy family, working full time, have a daughter, have a wife, have kids, whatever. Like you want that time to just chill and be present, but not be glued in a separate room to a TV, or even share the TV. Like your spouse watch the telly, you hook up with GeForce Now Ultimate or your PS Portal. But mate, honestly, the experience with GeForce Now is just absolutely brilliant because the frame rates you can get far exceed
with ray tracing. Because
with ray tracing,
right. Like if you ever wanted to, if your rig can't do 4K 120, right?
Right.
You get GeForce Now. Now you could do what you want to do. You can do because they give you the power to do it, even though your rig can't do it. So let's say I have a 2080 on my PC,
right,
and I want to run Cyberpunk at 4K ray tracing.
Okay.
The frame rate's going to be horrible. Now, if I boot up GeForce Now, the Ultimate tier. Go on there. I now got my 4K. I now got my ray tracing, and I now got my great FPS. And I'm playing on the same PC, but you're playing the same game, but it's automatically upgrading your rig for you. So it's just an awesome benefit if you subscribe to it, which you should if you game on PC, and your rig is not up to snuff. Because if a game says, "Oh, minimum requirements are a 4080," let's say, or 3080, and you only have a 1060, you're like, well, I can't play that game.
I've been asking
GeForce Now Ultimate tier, and then you can play that game.
How much is the GeForce Ultimate monthly?
I think it's like
10,
12.99.
Yeah, $12.99. That's in our money.
And now as a few people are mentioning in the chat, there's no games that come with that. You play your Steam games based off of that.
No, but the thing is that the games aren't tied to GeForce Now, which for me is better. Like the games I buy, that on
Steam, games you want to play.
The games I want to play, but they're also universal. I can play that on my Steam Deck natively, on my PC natively, on GeForce Now Ultimate. Like I can, or Epic Games. Like they're using third-party storefronts as the basis of ownership, connecting through those. So it means that, unlike Stadia, where you have to buy the game for Stadia for it to be a dedicated cloud stream game copy, right, which sucks. That's what everybody hated about it. GeForce Now, they're like, well, own your games, stream it, and I'm all in on that, bro. Like that to me is banging. Like it's just the quality as well, mate.
I take your word for it.
Enough.
Well, so let me do this, guys. It's 8:00 here in New York. I have reached out to the great P Rock and B Money. I hope they can still make it the second half of the show. B was in the chat, so B, if you're listening, hopefully you're home soon. You can join the discussion. But let's get down to it. I really do want to talk about it. And I it's funny. I want to start with the great J-Dub. Jay, me and you got a chance to play for at least 2 hours. We've got a lot more in our future. We played a lot of Concord. I played a good amount. I think I got up to like level 12 or 13. Not as much as I wanted to. Unfortunately, I said this last week, guys. I missed the first week of open beta. I was down in the city with the family, and we were doing our whole thing. And I was like, you know what? To be honest with you, by the time I got back on Sunday, I crashed, and Monday it was over. So I did get a chance to play this last weekend. I told you I'd give my thoughts, but before I give my thoughts, Jay, what do you think of Concord? And I believe me, there's probably nobody else better than to ask you. You have your ear to the ground with the community. What do you think some of the pros and cons, and how would you kind of tackle some of these questions that you're seeing a lot of people? And then the Great Death Singer also has some points as well. But Jay, what did you think overall of Concord and some of the, I would say, not so positive press it's gotten?
I will say this. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. The graphics are beautiful. The gameplay was nice and tight. I think it's accomplishing what the developers want to accomplish with that game. But I think some of the feedback I've heard is basically for people saying, speed the game up. You know, a lot of the characters speed up the time to kill, speed up. They want it like Call of Duty. And I said this game is not Call of Duty. And that's why a lot of people only play it for 5 minutes, because they jump in, they don't understand the game. They try to play it like Call of Duty. They get their asses handed to them, and they jump out and call it trash. But this game is in light of the categories like the Overwatches and things like that. So you have to play those games a lot differently than how you would play Call of Duty. So they don't understand, or they didn't give an opportunity to do that. But if you stick with the game and learn how to play it, learn the difference between the tank, the healers, and different and work as a team, you can be successful. Mooch, when we were playing, you and I think we went like one time we had a streak like 10. We had a 10 streak, because every person who was playing, they understood their position and their role.
That's right. They knew their role.
It's a true role playing game. You know, you have to play your role, and if you play your role, 9 times out of 10, you'll typically be successful in the mission. So I think that's what it is. Could they make the messaging better? I'll be honest. I don't know what the developers could have done or could do to change some people's mind. Some people already have their shooters. They're already in the place they're going to be. So anything that comes out of the woodwork, they don't care. They're going to default to that, right? And I got friends that plays across the whole spectrum. They'll try a game out and they'll jump back in CSGO. They'll play and they'll jump in Valorant because that's their main, and they'll try something else and they'll come right back. There's just no opportunity there for a lot of those people. But I think if Concord can capture some of the Overwatch crowd, even if it's, let's say, 10-20% of that crowd, I think that can lead to long-term success, because you can always more seasons, adding more characters, more maps, more modes, and things like that. I mean, who knows? They may do a battle royale. You just never know what the roadmap is for some of these. And so I think we want to jump in the Overwatch type space without making our game exactly Overwatch.
Right.
We want to jump in this shooter space without making our game like Call of Duty. And some people are, give me Call of Duty, or give me this, or give me that, or give me nothing. But one thing I will say, majority of the people who actually play the game, a lot of them will say, hey, I had fun. There was nothing broken about it. It was a beautiful game, great presentation. The gameplay was great. But to some of those people, they'll say it's just not for me. And I'm perfectly fine with saying not every game is for everybody.
I'm all in that spot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is,
you can't point and say, oh, this sucked because of X, Y, and Z. I don't see that at all. I just see people saying, it's not a game for me, and I get that. That's perfectly fine. Think about it. How many people playing Call of Duty? Those Call of Duty players rarely ever touch Overwatch. Those Overwatch players, they kind of a lot of times they don't give a shit about a Call of Duty,
Right.
and the two never mix. And that's why I say it's okay to be in the midst of the categories. You don't have to be number one. You can exist with being number 10, right? You got Valorant, you got a lot of these new free-to-play games, X Defiant. There's a lot of people playing X Defiant, right? Yeah, it's a COD clone, but guess what? There's a place. There's enough room for everybody to fit in.
That's a good point.
And I think
panel,
people feel like if you don't take down COD, then it's a failure. And I don't think that's
Jay makes a good point, Forte, because he says, like that's the thing with X Defiant. And I played it for a weekend or two, and it was very, very similar. Brought nothing really new to the table from Call of Duty multiplayer at all, right? So at the end, but are there still people playing X Defiant right now on Twitch watching X Defiant? The other day there was 23,000 people watching people play X Defiant. So X Defiant, if I asked everybody in the panel or in the chat and I did a poll right now, do you think X Defiant is the new shit? People would say, no, it's horrible. It's a clone. It's this and that, right? So Jay's right. The other thing is Forte, and I'll give you the mic, Forte, because I know you have some points here, is I went into playing Concord before I linked up with Jay, and I was playing it like Call of Duty, man. I was running around. Shout out to the great Jay Bari, by the way. Jay Bari goes, Mooch, you want that fast speed, you got to use It's. It's the character's name is It's, and she honestly is amazing. That's my character because I told Jay I would like to conform to the hero shooter genre, try it with a team, which we kicked ass when we were. Shout out to Link as well, who was with us. But like my point being is that it gives me that's the character that resounds with me the most. And when you do play as a team. Man. When you play as a team, it changes the dynamic. It's not like Call of Duty. I pick up the game and I don't care. You guys see my gameplay. I don't care if I'm with my if I'm with my team in Warzone. That's one thing. But otherwise, you see me going solo, going rogue. You don't go rogue in Overwatch or in Concord or Valorant, right? So go ahead, Forte. I stole the mic from you just because I was just to further explain my point from where Jay's trying to make his case, and he does. And the great Eric Jackson will sit here when Jay said it's not for you, it's okay. Eric Jackson will sit here and tell you none of these games you guys are talking about are for me, right? You know what I mean? I don't know, right? You know, so
I know. Like maybe I should have come next week, and it's a lot.
Right? I feel bad. I'm like, he's like, screw all these games. No, Forte, I took the mic away.
I'm listening though. I'm intrigued. I might have some points to jump
Please
in
do, please.
No, but the one thing I would want to say that really resonated me, what Jay just said was, like you said, all games aren't for everybody for the most part, and it's not like Concord. It wasn't that it was a bad game. Like that's the thing. People don't know how to express how they really feel about a game without giving it a negative or a positive connotation. You can just say it's okay. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, like I tell people to this day, I haven't played Sea of Thieves since the day it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I put 8 hours in on the first day, and I did it with random people on a ship. Like no friends, random people. I enjoyed that 8 hours so much, but guess what? I never went back to the game. So it wasn't the fact that the game was bad. I didn't even experience the part of the game where it completely had no content because I really barely did anything. I just did random stuff in the game, and I was like, damn, I can see the appeal of this game, and it's actually really cool. But it just didn't speak to me to the point where I just wanted to sit around and sail across the seas all day. I was like, I don't want to do this. But I'm willing to play Destiny for 2,000 hours and run the same strike and do the same PvP maps and everything for, 6,000 hours. It's just a different flow for different people. Like for me, I tell people like Slow-Mo. I tell Slow-Mo this all the time. I used to love Call of Duty. Loved it. And then I stopped loving it when I started playing Battlefield. And it's just this dynamic of two different types of games. One, I'm willing to put time and learn. And I'm one of those big people. I'm a component of like reviewing gameplay. Like if I play a shooter, I'm trying to get better at it. I'm not just playing it to be like, oh, I'm just, decent at the game. Like if I'm putting hours like I do in Battlefield or hours in Destiny or hours into any first person shooter, I'm trying to learn how the ins and outs of that game go. And that's the thing that these people be doing. Like when they jump into Concord, they look at it like, man, can I dominate these people in this game? Oh, I can't. Oh, I got to learn all these different systems and everything. And I don't even know if I like the game. Oh, no, I'm going to move on and do something else. Because everybody wants to win at everything that they're at. And the moment they realize you got to put some effort into it, oh, that game's trash. Oh, that game's out there in the woods. It's like, even if you're going to, like, I hear people all the time talk about how game A is trash, but then they go and play another game that's just like it and it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, bro, literally they're the same game, but the only difference is you're able to do better in this game because it's probably not a mainstream game that everybody else is playing. So all the good people aren't playing it. So let's be for real here. Some people just need to get better as a gamer, and then they'll realize that the games that they're playing are actually really, really good and stop running away from them just because they're getting bodied every time they try to play it. But I think that's kind of what happened with Concord, because I was watching Persona play it like the day that it launched. And I was like, "Though this looks actually pretty cool." But and I jumped into the game and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is one of those games that I'm gonna have to put some time into if I really want to learn it." And then in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna really do that because I'm still playing Battlefield. I'm still doing this, and maybe one day I'll do it." But you got to be for real with yourself. I'll tell people the reason I suck at Call of Duty right now is because I don't practice Call of Duty. I don't practice the way to play it. I don't look to see where the maps and where the alleyways and the kill cams and stuff are. I don't have the perfect weapons to run around the map the way I want to. And if I did have that stuff, guess what? I would do way better at it and I would feel better about the game as a whole. But I'm not going to say Call of Duty's trash because I just suck at it. And that's the thing that people got to kind of realize when they're playing these type of games.
That's fair. So, Death Singer, let's go to Death Singer. Everybody, please, if you don't have your seatbelt on, be prepared. Death Singer is going in, folks. Singer, what did you think? You got a chance to play Concord. You also
I did the open beta.
What did you think overall? And then I do have a couple of follow-up questions for you, and then I know that Wooly and Eric are going to want to chime in on this. But what did you think overall? And then I'll have a few follow-up questions.
Overall, the gameplay was fun. I had fun with friends. I mean, it was a fun game. My favorite characters was One-Off, the robot with the vacuum cleaner as a tank.
Yep.
That was pretty fun. The mechanics of the whole I thought he was stupid as hell, first of all, but then I was like, why do I have this vacuum cleaner? And then I was like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing with this. And then the other one was the one that's Farah from Overwatch. She has the rocket launcher, flies through the air.
That was Jay's character, for sure.
Yeah, like, I played that and I was like, oh, so this is kind of like Farah. Okay, cool. I can see where we're going. But my main issue was, it's so generic. All the characters just, it looks like you mash together Guardians of the Galaxy at home and generic character number B, some NPC from like a side quest in the game, and you just gave them some abilities and sent them in, and I was like, see, I can't vibe with these characters. Like, there's nothing for me there. And then I didn't pay attention to the numbers till after the beta. And then I looked on Steam, because I was like, okay, the closed beta, you need to pre-order the game. That's an ask. Okay, let's see if the numbers improve when the open beta comes out. It's free. All you have to do is just go in, hit download, and play the game.
Well,
and the numbers were like...
Well, you left to step out, though, for PC, did you not?
Well, yeah, you have to sign into PSN, which limits some of the Steam things.
They might want to mention that.
But even then, like, you have to sign in for other things. But it's, I don't know, it's just, it wasn't a vibe on PC for it. And I also think telling someone to pay $40 when they're playing all these other free-to-play games, because all the successful games on PC outside of World of Warcraft and Call of Duty are free-to-play. Right? That's just the way it is. So it's, I just don't. Yeah.
PC card is used to free stuff.
Well,
that's why I'd like to see the console.
I see. Then that's where I think it will have successes on the console. But I think they missed the mark when they tried to get the PC audience, and the PC audience resoundingly said, "Not for me." Like they showed you in the play account, they said, "This ain't for us."
I think more will pick it up though later on. I do believe this could become a retrospective darling, and if they keep persevering with it and don't abandon it, but actually persist with it, then I think it could win hearts over. There is a redemption arc possible there. And I say that, but there's a few fundamental things that are getting me. First of all, I really enjoy playing Heymar, who's the Zendaya lookalike. Mm-hmm. She's top with the fireball. Yep. If you look, and also the soldier who uses the smoke grenades, and you can see through the smoke. Like I enjoyed that. But I agree with what Deathsinger said about how generic like the characters feel. Like in terms of like, I'm just don't know, don't care to know. And one thing I want to understand is the. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Willie. It's a question for you, Willie. The question is when you take a game, let's take a game that was successful for a period of time, if not still successful in Overwatch. What did those characters do? When people keep saying these characters didn't speak to me, what did the Overwatch characters do that this one's missing? And I don't mean that with any type of sarcasm. I really mean that. I'm curious.
They made awesome trailers and didn't expect people to sit through cinematic storytelling for a game that the main hook is multiplayer, sweaty multiplayer. Yep. Like if the hook is sweaty multiplayer, people are not booting up the game to watch a cinematic. That's what trailers are for. And so ultimately, it's just again misunderstanding the target audience. Okay. And I just think to myself, this game it's a sweaty first-person MOBA. Like it's literally you on Overwatch players are not playing Overwatch to watch the trailer. They're playing Overwatch to play Overwatch. And likewise, they should have saved that stuff, that high production budget value, for amazing, intriguing, action-focused trailers that showcase the skills and perks of each character. Not some cheesy American, like I say American, it's actually British, which is ironic, but some cheesy kind of American-esque kind of sitcom attempt at being some kind of like, I don't know, edgy Guardians of the Galaxy, take me seriously but not too seriously rom-com. Like, I don't know, man, it was just it's nuts to me. It's like, what am I doing here sitting watching this? Like, I don't know these characters. I don't care to know these characters. They're already talking to each other like they know each other.
Yeah.
Like, what? It just doesn't, it's pointless. It's like, decide what you want to be. And if your audience are the sweaty multiplayer first person MOBA audience, and you need to just
Wally,
play.
I have
there's a story there. You just they released three.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I want to cut you off. Go ahead. Let them finish what you're saying.
No, I was just going to say they said that they released 3 cutscene segments. Part of the open beta. There's going to be many more. There's going to be like, I think, one every day or every week or something like that to tie it in all together. It's a lot of dialogue and content there that's going to open up about the characters and things like that. Wow. Now, clearly, we're not going to get A through Z in an open beta, right? And I get it. There's other shooters out there that's free and you just want to have mindless fun. I get it. But that's not the direction that the developers want to go with this game. This is a brand new IP, brand new studio. They want to try something different. And I know we classify it as such, but my whole thing is let's hear them out. Let's hear them out and let's see. Because what happens is I've seen and I've heard people try to turn this game into something it's not based on what they feel. Now, granted, if we all had our say so as gamers, if we all have our say, I take it back to when you're talking about electronics and phones. Everybody want a thin, ultra thin phone with a big screen, but they don't like it because they wouldn't like it because it's too light and too flimsy. And then somebody would, it's just, they want to have buttons on there. You can't listen to what everybody got to say collectively because they'll build a monstrosity of something. You have to have a vision, stick with it. You can tweak it, but it has to be your vision. And if gamers like that vision, they'll mess with it. And if they don't like that vision, they won't mess with it. But turning this game into that doesn't necessarily make it won't make it successful, right? If they turn this game into Call of Duty, it's probably still won't be successful because people have Call of Duty.
That's right.
Just 2 things real quick, J-Dub. One thing is that flipping it's I can't flipping it. Oh, brain fart, doesn't matter. Ignore me. Doesn't matter.
Right. So to 2 points that the characters in Overwatch, bear in mind they knew what they were doing. The characters are appealing. Like, have you seen Mercy? Have you seen Widowmaker? Tracer had the thing going on. Like, you will notice there is a distinct. These characters. You think of Valorant, you think of League of Legends, you think of what sells the skins, what gets you into the character. Half the time it's the looks. Let's keep it 100. That is what it is. And none of these characters in Concord have that. They don't have that factor to them. But then also
I'll push back on that. The characters to me look really, really, really good. The graphics in that game is 1,000 times better than 99% shooters out there. It has a Sony
I think the characters look good.
Graphical, demanding, the shadows, the lighting. It's Unreal Engine 5. It has all. Even Digital Foundry said it's a looker. So to say that it don't really, I'll just push back on that a little bit. Maybe it's an acquired taste. Maybe it's acquired taste.
The thing is, if I put the girl with the rocket launcher right next to Widowmaker, right, and then put a poll up, which one do you prefer?
Oh, well, yeah, but it just comes down to looks of characters, and I think that's just a bit like.
But that's what sells. See, the thing is,
you
want to sell skins, and then for them, you want to sell that's what makes the money. So you need to make them as attractive as possible. And then on the point of the cinematics, it's nice having cinematics, but most people are just going to click X to skip and go straight into the game. They just want to play.
I remember my point now. I was going to say
they're not here for these beautiful cinematics. Like the Overwatch cinematics, they did them, but they were on YouTube and they were like 2 minutes long, and they told a quick little story.
And that's the difference. And that's the difference between a free to play and a full-fledged type game. It's because those free-to-play games, they don't care about any of that stuff. They just want to get in there and get your money and get out. They
were cool cinematics though, J-Dub. Come on, Overwatch had some pretty cool cinematics.
People also got to remember the reason that it was done the way it was done is because Overwatch was technically
$70. It was $60. It was
supposed to be something completely different, and then they pivoted in the middle of development because it was supposed to be an online MOBA that you could play, and then they downscaled it midway through the development to what it ended up being in Overwatch in the story. That's why you had so much story and character development for all of their characters, all of their heroes, is because it was supposed to be a completely different game.
Just bouncing off J-Dub's point, I remember my point now. Before J-Dub, you said there's a lot of narratives that obviously they can't cram into the beta, and they're saving it for the full game, and I respect that. But that's the issue. There's a lot of narrative, and I think like the Overwatch cinematics focused on the skills of the player, not their life story. And I think the with all the talking and dialogue, it's just I dare I say I know it's a shame, and it's the representation of how kind of feeble-minded we've become because of like the TikTok culture and all that crap. I'm so glad that I don't have TikTok. I'm so glad that I've never downloaded it and never had it. But most people, they just want that instant gratification of like, I want to see the skills of these players. I want to see what these players do. The top trumps, right? The top trumps, kind of the Pokemon, the death battle kind of aspect of seeing characters versus characters, and that's always appealed to people the most. And sitting in a room having this Guardians of the Galaxy moment, it's cool if they were already established characters that we recognize and connect with, but I just don't think that's necessary. That should come later. That should come later.
You guys have done
the full game has an actual tutorial mode, right? That shows you about all of that stuff. Now, for whatever reason,
I agree with you.
They decided not to. Yeah, they did not decide to put that into the open beta. They decided to just let you go in and just try the couple of modes they're going to let you try, and then that's it. But the full game, as the developer explained it, we have a tutorial mode that's going to explain everything about, you get the backstory of all the characters, how it came about, and all that stuff. And maybe that's why they tied that into the the full game experience. And maybe some people are like, well, I wanted that in the open beta so I can get to know this character and like this character and whatever. But maybe they thought, right, hey, listen, we're going to give it this open beta, and maybe like you said, the mindless TikTok generation don't care about anything like that, and so they gave you that. Whereas now it's some people are like, well, no, I wanted the more of the cinematics and the stuff that tells me about these characters, and I want to love these characters and get to know them and grow with them and stuff. And I'll be honest, it's I don't know. I'll be honest. I've put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in Overwatch, and I can still care about anybody outside of Tracer. That's just me.
Yeah,
I think
I agree though about the technicality of the game. Technically, it's a marvel. I'm so impressed.
One of the things I'm hearing from you guys that I think is important here, and I just want to go back to it because this is something. Forget Concord for a second. This is what we've talked about over the years on the show. Is good gameplay is what lasts. Whenever any game comes out and you're playing a shooter and it just feels. The game feels wrong, or the TTK is way off, or everything just feels like the mechanics are loose. The whole thing doesn't feel right. That game's already D.O.A. Yeah. The one thing I'm hearing from people who don't even like the game is the game played well, the game looked well, it's just not for me. And then I hear about the story and the characters, and that didn't resonate. That's fine. There's no way in any podcast or even a full week of talking to anybody could you ever say, well, I'm going to make you like this character. That just doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fair. But I will say this much, and that's why I kind of put here, do good games always prevail? I think, will Sony stick by this game? If this game is out there and they're asking for $40 a piece, and they actually get an okay, like Jay was saying, 10, 15% from this crowd, 10% from this crowd. They're nowhere near the other crowds. They're not even there. But the game plays well. And the other thing, Forte said it himself right there with Overwatch. The game that we play now was not the game that was intended. What if this game metamorphosizes? It already has great gameplay. And hear me out when I say that. It just reminds me very much of, and each character is different, but it reminded me a lot of like Destiny, Crucible gameplay with certain characters. I felt a little bit of that, especially with the character that Wooly was mentioning. That really, really kind of resonated with me as well. So the game looks good. If Sony continues to invest in it, if it even holds 10, 15% of a Valorant or an Overwatch crowd and it continues to grow. The one thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you guys watch Twitch. I know everybody was like, I hate Twitch, and everybody ran over to YouTube gaming, and that's fine. But like, I generally watch Twitch, and the one thing I always see is whenever a new game comes out, these streamers play Call of Duty Warzone forever. They play all these other games forever. And then when these new games come out, they do give it a shot. First of all, they get a code, and then they give it a shot and they play the game, and slowly but surely they'll go back to it. Like you said, there was Summit 1G, I believe. Summit for is one example. He left, what is it there? Sea of Thieves forever. And then he just went back to it and he started playing it and he put it into his rotation. And now he has a ton of people watching him play Sea of Thieves. I mean, I'm talking about like 20,000, 50,000 people watching him. So when people say this is dead, I would say this much. The game will die if Sony wants to bury it. If Sony says we're not investing anything and what we get starts to get a slow bleed and a slower bleed and you see less characters and no new maps, and I think that's when this thing is really D.O.A. I think right now there is a cluster of these similar types of games out there, like Deathsinger was saying, Forte's been saying. But I think good gameplay always prevails. That's just something over the years, guys. Yeah. And I'm talking about the audience.
Great foundation there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got good bones, right? Like, that's the thing. And, whether you're talking about a house in real estate, you can always make changes or add new modes or add new characters, as you guys would say, that have heart, right? Or has a soul that you actually can link yourself to and say, that's a character I can get behind.
Well, Mooch, look at Warframe. Look at Warframe.
Right.
Look at No Man's Sky.
Yes.
Like, there's loads of examples where if you persist with a game I mean, look at Anthem. Everyone was absolutely mad at EA for scrapping support on Anthem because people were low-key hoping that this Anthem reboot would happen because people retroactively looked at Anthem and went, actually, this was really cool. Like, it had really solid, amazing mechanics and an amazing foundation for what could have been an absolute incredible game. And now it's a tragedy. Like, it died because, so it's like, there's always room for a game to keep growing and then win hearts over. And if Sony focus on making this game like a big thing, it will be.
But the thing is,
I was just gonna say this real quick. The bigger question that I want to know is, Sony has Marathon coming up, right? That's another shooter. In an industry that's dominated full of nothing but shooters, free to play and full price shooters. With Helldivers 2, with Concord, then Marathon, and then some other shooters, games that live service games that Sony have coming out. That's a lot of, you go from having nothing to having a lot of stuff in the same space, and clearly they're different type of games, but at the end of the day, they're still shooters. Maybe Sony has calculated this to where it's like, not all of these games are going to hit, right? Some of them are going to flop, some of them are going to hit. Our first one, which was Helldivers 2, that was a great success there, right? That's going to continue to go on. That's great. We're going to try Concord. Well, if Concord doesn't make it, we got Marathon. We got is it Fairlight or Fair whatever else they got. This other games that they got coming. That's a game with service game. Is Concord the end all be all? That's the question I want to know.
Well, I've heard. Sorry, go on, Dassinger.
It's not because. You can have other games coming out, but I'm just still stuck on the whole Concord free beta, because Helldivers 2 garnered the PC player base, and we saw what happened to Helldivers 2. Concord is not going to do that, so what success it does have, and sure, you could say it might grow over time, but you're still telling these people, spend 40 on my game, and in a hero shooter, you care about the characters. It's a character-based shooter. Right, Valorant, I care about these characters. League of Legends, I care about these characters I play. The reason I pay Ari middling is because I actually care about her. I have her coolest looking skins. I have her most expensive skins. I absolutely love the character, love all about it, the lore, everything, right? But how are you supposed to care about these generic characters in a character-based shooter? You're supposed to go, oh, that's my main. Like, when I take Overwatch, for example, it's like, I'm a diehard Reinhardt main. Like, if I'm tank, Reinhardt. But then Orisa's a close second, but then I have D.O.A. Like, I like a lot of these characters, but I connect with them on that level.
Singer, let me ask you a question.
You're not gonna connect with any of them over a beta, over a weekend. You're just not.
Well, see, now this comes to, I'm playing another game that's in the playtest, and it instantly clicks, like, because I know these characters.
And
it plays exactly like peak Overwatch, and see that's
the characters.
That's the thing. The characters.
I know the characters, but in Concord, there's no reason for me to know these characters because they just look generic.
Yeah, but why buy a new book? Why watch a different movie? Just go to Marvel movies the rest of your life. I think that's the only thing I don't understand, Singer, with that whole thing. I as a gamer, I'm only speaking for myself. It's always gameplay first. If Concord's gameplay sucked, I'm out. I'm not even defending it. I still think they need more characters and more unique modes. I want more unique
better
modes.
Better maps.
Well, we haven't seen all the maps yet. So, but yes, I'll critique that as well, Wooly, if the game comes out and it has subpar maps. But yes, I would like even better maps. So I'm not saying Concord's perfect by no means. But what I'm saying to you is that, like, people are like, well, I love, Marvel Rivals. And it's like, well, and they're like, well, I love the characters. Well, we've been following these characters since we've all been, 5, 6, 7 years old. I get it. I get it. You're a big Marvel fan, and you can relate to them. I have seen some gameplay from Marvel Rivals, and I mean, the games, I haven't seen all characters, but some of them looked extremely generic. didn't look very enticing at all. The gameplay didn't look like it was that enthralling. But everyone likes it because, I mean, you get to be Spider-Man, you get to be Magneto. Shout out to Death Singer, right?
I have to hold you up there because the gameplay is really tight. A lot of the moves make sense. The moves are actually character faithful as well. Like you would expect that character to do that. Like Iron Man's moves, for example. Yep. He shoots the beam from his chest. He fires the rockets. He fires the blasters from his hand. He does everything you would expect.
Oh, he's proper fanboying, isn't he? Look at him.
No, not fanboying. But then the counterpoint to the character thing is Valorant had brand new characters no one cared about. No one knew. They created all of them from scratch. But people connected with the characters because they had the skins, they had the look. Like people were like, "Oh, I really like this character. I like the way gameplay." It had everything. So Valorant is you could create new characters, but they need to be characters that people care about. And if you generic characters, then no one's going to care about the character. So no one's
I just want to touch on J-Dub's question though, because J-Dub made a very good point about Marathon and all these shooters kind of coming out at the same time. Marathon's going to have to distinguish itself by being what they originally purposed it to be, which is an extraction shooter, because an extraction shooter is a very, very desirable game to make, right? There's a market for it. It's the new thing. It's the new PUBG, you know. But unfortunately, I've heard that there was a design lead shift midway, and the design lead is the guy behind what hero shooter? I can't even recall. But basically, they're thinking about making it now a hero shooter. And if that's true, then no, that's a very bad move. And I really do think like you can't have two hero shooters made from first party studios and not expect one of them to die. Like
so what I was gonna say is we kind of got to just, if we boil it down to the base of what this whole why games get a chance and other games don't, or why people overlook one game versus another game, even knowing that game could be fire if they actually gave it a chance, is like you just said, Singer, you talked about Valorant really got a good lead off because of who made it. Riot makes that game, and people trust Riot.
No, but here's the thing: they only make a MOBA. They only make a MOBA. They've never made an FPS before.
No, listen. Just like everybody, for the most part, gives. Think about Playground Games. Never made any game outside of a racing game, but people's giving them a chance. People are really excited for a game that a genre game they never made before because they were successful with one IP, you know. And then when you think about Bungie, people are excited for games by the developers that they grew up playing and stuff. Like the reason Destiny started out as great as it did, 21 million sold in the first week that it came out, is because people were excited to play something that was made by the creators of Destiny. The same, of Halo. Same reason Marathon is going to get a nice little push, even though it's a game that a version of a game they never made before. They're going to get a push just because they trust in the gameplay. They trust in, you know, the pedigree of the studio and stuff. So and then when you think about going back to the conversation with Overwatch, it was made by Blizzard, and that was King Blizzard back then, you know. So it's like when you see these games that come out from these developers and these studios now, it's like, unless you got a huge backing behind you, you know, you're not going to see games think about how Gears of War came from nowhere and it was just amazing. A game like that now maybe would take off after 3 or 4 months of people playing it, and then it'd be like the zeitgeist moment that happened with like From Software when it came from Elden Ring, you know, games like that. But like having critical success right off the back for the most part is so hard to do. That's why I tell people, when it came to like Helldivers, when Helldivers came out and took off like it did, do you know how rare that's going to be for like anybody making a brand new game? And now, granted, that game wasn't a brand new; it's a sequel to another game, but it might as well be something that people never knew what it was because not too many people played the first Helldivers. They knew nothing about what the game was. So it's just going to be hard for developers that never really made these type of games or get people excited to play these type of games. And that's why I think so many people were excited to see what's going on with Concord right now. And seeing where it's going to actually land. And I always tell people it's not about what the game is on the day it comes out. What's it going to be 3 months from now? What's it going to be 6 months from now?
Thank you for it.
You know what's the longevity of that game going to be?
Right.
You know, so that's what we really need to like kind of focus on, because what we're talking about right now is just getting your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. Are you going to stay there? Because most of those games don't, unfortunately.
The studio have definitely shown their skills though, because flipping out for this to be that first rodeo, it's a technical marvel. I know it's Unreal 5 and a lot of the heavy lifting is done for them, but they've not used any of the major perks of the engine like Nanite or Lumen. They've done everything themselves, and shown a lot of skill, and you know they're a talented studio, really talented, and I can see Sony being so impressed with them on a technical level that even if this game is a write-off, I'm pretty sure Sony won't put them down. They can see their potential.
Right, exactly. Shout out to the great Porter Rock who's with us. P-Rock, I know you're over on West Coast, but now you're acting like a true New Yorker, showing up an hour and a half into the show. P-Rock! Where's P-Rock?
What's going on, my brother?
P-Rock, what's going on?
I'm here.
Good to
you know what I'm saying? I want to get to the party when it's already started.
That's right. That's right. We already got dinner served. You ain't coming for no appetizer. Porter Rock, we're talking Concord, buddy, and you've been very vocal. We kind of went up and down, and I've got a couple of sub questions to ask as well to the chat, or pardon me, to the panel. But P-Rock, where are you on Concord overall? And then I'll ask you a couple of part 1, part 2 questions.
So I don't got too much to say, simply because, I played Helldivers and I gave it the fair go, right? And I played a little bit of it, but it ultimately died out for me. Not because it's a bad game, but I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not the best person to talk about multiplayer games because I just don't really have the love for it no more, as much as, I did back in the day. It's regardless of what new things they add, it for me, it just goes back to the same redundant thing. You win a match, you level up, you get some gear, you go back, you win a match, and I just really, so I'm really a bad candidate.
Okay.
Or not really.
Well, no,
I'm not really the best person. I think I already moved on from the multiplayer. I played it so much. And I tried, and J-Dub knows. I gave it the college try with Helldivers 2. I made it to level 7, and I deinstalled it. And it's not because it's a bad game. It's just me.
It's not
I don't even play sports game. I don't even even Street Fighter 6. I kind of like. So like the whole multiplayer scene. I just done it so much that I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe if SoCon comes, maybe. But even then. So I'm just really the bad candidate. I'm not that audience for the multiplayer game no more. So I'm not. That's why I really didn't talk much about Concord or really much multiplayer games as much anymore. Because it's
just say you're old, bro. Just say you're old.
Yeah, pretty much. I just don't got. Yeah, I don't got it. I don't got the fight to win anymore. If you know what I mean. Like to beat somebody. Yeah. Right now my last bastion is the boxing game that's coming out in October. Boxing that's coming out. That's on PC right now. It's coming out for consoles in October. That's probably like the last defense. That's like the final protective line. If that don't do it, if boxing doesn't do it, nothing's gonna do it. So y'all better hope I love that boxing game, because if that shit, and I'm Puerto Rican, so boxing's in the blood. That is the last bastion right there, because I don't even play Madden anymore or even MLB. That even died out of me. So really, boxing's it. That's it. This is the last stand.
Well,
the last of the more weekends.
Did you get a chance though to play the open beta?
Hell no. I didn't even install that shit. Like I didn't even waste the bandwidth of my internet for that. Like I have no interest in multi. And I tried with Helldivers, and Helldivers, I bought it. I enjoyed it for a little bit. I played with J-Dub, but J-Dub could tell you he never seen me back since. He's like, "Where's Porter Rock?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of installed the game.
Listen, there's a lot of people.
me and Craig play every weekend, and
Porter Rock I will say this much. I mean, one of the things that I say about Concord, and I got to give credit to Jay. Me and Jay hung out. We chatted for a bit before we even played the game for a few hours. Like, You guys know, you guys can watch all the Crossfires you want. I always dabble a lot of like my Call of Duty. Like I play a lot of this, Call of Duty. I play almost every mode in multiplayer to rank up my guns, so I have the best loadouts I can have in Warzone. But like my whole point is this. I said to Jay, I'm like, I even said to him, I said, I played a little bit of Concord by myself, and I said, I like everything I'm feeling as far as the game mechanics, but I said, I don't know if I'm feeling the vibe in the game. And he goes, well, Mooch, do you play hero shooters? I said, no, I don't. He goes, you have to pick you try each of these players out, try out different characters, find one that resonates best with you, healer, tank, whatever, fast action, I don't know how to explain, like the gunner. My point being is and then he goes, then Link joined up with us and we had a team. And once we had a team and you had a shield, you had defense, then you had the objective, and you had me. I was, shout out to Jay Barry, who was like, Mooch, try its. Which you can actually, what's great about it is I literally launch you with your L1, you launch this sphere, which will then go into enemy territory on the other side. And I'm just blazing, almost looking like things you're not supposed to do in a hero shooter. Then you re-click L1 again, you warp. I immediately warp to the other side behind the team. They're focused on the tank and the shield and trying to break through the objective. Meanwhile, I'm behind and I wipe the team out. Like that doesn't happen and work every time, but it worked enough. And like it was just, there's different ways to play the game, and it changed it for me after playing countless hours of Call of Duty, which I love. I'm never going to stop playing Call of Duty. That's just the way I am. But this was a unique way for me to try something different. I do think it's best with friends. Playing that game alone, I didn't have as much fun. When I played with J-Dub and Link, like it was game changing for me. That was kind of what put me over the edge to say, all right, I can get behind this kind of a game with a bunch of friends that are going to be playing it. And I think that's why when you pre-ordered it, they gave you 5 codes. They knew you didn't. They didn't want you going out there solo trying to be a renegade, right? Yeah. They don't want you to be a renegade. They want you to actually link up with friends and play as a team. That's just how that is, and that goes for Overwatch. Goes for any of those types of games. If I was just to go in as Overwatch, even with your favorite character in air quotes, because it has the best backstory or whatever that is. I mean, myself personally, I buy skins all the time. You guys see, I have Black Noir, which I love. It's the closest thing to the Rose skin that I missed out on years ago, which I was pissed at. So I picked that up. I picked up Rick from Walking Dead. And then I buy the crazy ones. I buy some of the craziest things. Like, so I don't care about the backstory. I don't care about any. I care about the gunplay and the way the game feels. Like, that's the way I feel when it comes to shooters. Like, if you guys care about the story, I'm not taking that away from you. But if the character that I enjoy to play in Concord has a compelling story, for me, I'm going to forget that story. I don't know. I'm trying to get a 10 kill streak, dude. I'm not paying attention to it. I'm trying to win the objective.
Yeah, that was exactly my point originally, was literally the demographic playing this game are not booting up the game to watch a cinematic.
No.
That's what the trailers on YouTube are for. The promotional trailers. Like you put all that cool stuff like Star Wars KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, right? They put those really cool cinematics out on YouTube.
It's
and
cool
those
if you
trailers
like
that
it.
were awesome.
Yeah, it's
and
cool if you like it, but I don't think that's the say all end all.
They have their place, but
this game has good bones. I don't know if it's going to be here for the long haul. It might die out in 6 months. But I think when you have, if Sony's going to keep dedicating money to it and keep putting new maps, new characters, again, if they're going to do the cinematic thing and give you the story, you can love it or hate it. That I think is, for me, that's irrelevant. If they said, hey, tomorrow we're putting more time, money, and effort into the guns and the characters and the maps and the unique modes, and we're cutting the story. Cut the story. I don't care. Like, I just want to play another good game besides Call of Duty for me. And I know a lot of you guys are Battlefield fans. We don't have to go down that road again. We talked about that earlier in the show tonight. But like Battlefield for me right now doesn't resonate with me as well. This might be something. It may not. I mean, I played Helldivers, like shout out to Porter Rock. I played Helldivers till I reached just about level 50, and then I was like, okay, I'm taking a break from it. Like, I did the modes, I did everything. I kind of got a little bit burnt out. But now, shout out to Ocelot, who's in the chat. I'm definitely going back in August 6th. I'm going to play when they revamp the game, add some new modes, new ways to play the game. Like, I'm interested again. That's the thing. I think even with Concord, it's got good bones. It plays really well. The game, even people who don't like it go, well, it played really well. it's not for me. That's fair. I'm not here to sell to you. You don't like it? You don't like it. And that's the first thing
I like
Jay
the
does.
TTK Mooch. I like the fact that it opens up it allows you to be strategic. Like if you're being suppressed, like you're not dead straight away. You've got room and wiggle room to outskill your opponent, even if they get the first shot off.
Right.
Which I think enables a really cool dynamic, especially with your teammates. If you're playing as a team, the healer with the tank. It's a beautiful combo and stuff like that.
But like I say, with
I also think something that disrupted me was mainly the abilities, because I've been spoilt because I play a lot of hero shoot, like Valorant, for example. Like ISO's Ultimate, you warp into this different dimension and you have a 1v1. Like, it's pure skill. It's like, me versus you, I'm going to take this. Like, these skills are just so impactful and just so vibrant. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, wait, I'm having a 1v1? Okay. And it's, it's just, I'm spoiled with all these great abilities. Even with Marvel Rivals, everything's flashy.
I will say, Death Singer, you just brought up a point that I don't want to forget. The one thing I will say that the game needs, and shout out to Jez7780. I was hoping Jez was able to come on. He did a really good on Grind My Gears on Monday night. He really did a great on the Grindhouse depiction of this. And Jay, tell me if you agree with me or not, because Jay, I know you're a fan of the game. The one thing that other hero shooters have is as you build up, or I don't know if it's always as you get more and more kills or as time elapses, you do build up a super, like your character has one explosive super move at the end, right? And this doesn't have it. I could definitely see this game needing that, or not needing it, but it certainly would help. But I don't know if the maps are conducive of that. I'm not a developer, and I don't
because these maps in Concord they're small.
They're smaller
compared to the other two. They are small. So it's a 5v5. The maps are smaller. They do have some that are super small, and then they have some that's a little bit larger. But in all, that's again, I keep going back to this is the vision that the developers have. And if you change that formula that they have to change it to be more like Overwatch or more like this, will that change the whole dynamic of the game? Like, I don't know, because I'm not a game developer. And so my main is Overwatch, right? So that's my main. I had fun with this one, and it's enough differentiating it to where I don't feel like it's I might as well just stay at Overwatch. It's enough there for me to be like, hey, I can see this part of my rotation. So I don't know. Good luck to the developers. I bought the game after playing the beta. It was enough there for me to say, yeah, I can. This here is definitely something I can see myself sinking hundreds and thousands of hours into, and that's why I got it. By the way, my daughter got me the controller too, so I'm uber hyped. She ordered that controller for that still dropped like nothing. I didn't know they were coming out with that, but
that's the thing.
I'm all in. The booty controller, J-Dub, the booty one, the bum cheeks.
Not the Xbox side, the PlayStation, the real man controller, right? The PlayStation controller.
Well, it's funny. So you say that, Jay, and they really did kind of they just dropped that out of nowhere. So it goes back to what I was saying before. Sony's going to stick by the game. Are they going to put? Looks like they're putting money into this. You don't get a controller for just any game, right? They didn't do it for. A lot of people were complaining. I can't remember who it was. I wanted to give them credit.
Horizon.
They didn't do
Somebody
Horizon.
said that they didn't do it for Horizon, and it's like, they didn't do it for Horizon, but Horizon had the statue and stuff like that. Sony saw fit to give them a controller, which I thought that controller actually looks badass. So. That's why I sent my daughter a picture of it. I was like, look what Sony just dropped. And she was like, Dad, I know what that means. And she sent me back the receipt showing that she bought it or whatever. And
shout
I was
out
like, Mooch, that's what I was saying.
I
shout out to my baby girl for letting me mooch.
Yes.
A little bit off of her.
Hashtag mooching. That never gets old, Jay. Trust me. Once you get a taste of that mooching. Shout out to Ocelot. And I played a lot of Helldivers too with Ocelot. He says, canceled my Concord pre-order not because I think it should be free to play, but the characters sucked. He said too slow and no ultimate abilities. That was thank you for those are the words I was looking for. Ultimate abilities. He says I put in time level 15. Shout out to Ocelot. The super chat's a miracle, guys. I appreciate you guys and all the super chats. So let me ask you then, Death Singer. This is one of my sub questions I didn't get a chance to ask you yet. Then would free to play help this game?
It would help it, but it still needs the character to connect, because you think about like if I go, what's your main on Valorant? Everyone has one particular character they gravitate to, and they have all the skins and stuff for them, and they look cool, and their abilities are. I know people will say, "Oh, but it doesn't look super graphically intensive, but the abilities are super flashy. It gives you instant satisfaction." Like when as I said with ISIS Ultimate, it's like I have instant gratification. It's super pretty. I'm just having this 1v1. Looks fantastic, and I think they should also add supers to the game. I know the maps are small, maybe make the maps a bit bigger, but you can still do something with supers. Like you can make the one-off, the guy with the vacuum cleaner. You can easily give him an ability that won't break the game. So they need to do that. Free to play will help, but I just don't think it'll do something, but I don't think it's gonna do. If they're looking for a repeat of Helldivers, that ain't gonna happen. So you're gonna have to just keep with it and see what happens. But free to play would be a start, because charging 40, I don't. That's not gonna go over well. Trying to tell someone on Steam to pay 40 when you could play other games for free.
So yeah, you were saying that, and I think the free to play, that the other thing I think that is, and I know that maybe I don't think they're rushing it by no means, but I would like to have seen the game come out, like this week, like full game. Instead, why don't wait till the end of August when people are already starting to think about that September, October games lineup. I think this year's fall is probably a little, and you guys tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but a little weaker than usual. There's of course there's your Call of Duties. I got it. I get that. But I'm saying that outside of Call of Duty, we don't have release dates yet for Avowed, and we don't have release dates yet for Indiana Jones. I think one of those might get delayed. Let's just say maybe, but doesn't matter. Is there a huge fall lineup of games, guys, that you're looking forward to? The reason I think maybe that's why they're thinking August, but while you have this summer lull, if you will, this would have been a good time to get that game. I know they did the beta, but they probably should have just got this game out there. Get it, because people complain all the time, but then they're like, I want something new. Oh, it's $40. All right, I guess I'll buy it. But as you get closer to fall, when there's a plethora of games or more games coming, people will retain that $40 and wait to spend it on something that they know for sure they want to play in and out. So, just another thought there. Do you guys think the timing of the game release is right on point, or do you think they should have tried to get it out maybe early August, or now?
The game is, let's face it, the game is niche because of those type of games. There's just not a lot of them out there. So it didn't matter when they were going to drop it. It would have still did what it's going to do. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how it turns out. I just don't see them being able to do anything to change what people, because I've heard people say, there's just so many of these shooters out there, and then you got, they'll say that in one aspect, but then a game like Marvel Rivals, they'll play that and be like, oh my god, this is everything, this is great, and it's like, okay, well, you just said that the industry is full of shooters and different things like that. So I'd like to see outside of the Twitter, YouTube bubble as content creators. Outside of that, I'm very interested in day one seeing how this game does.
Agreed.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
I do want to see that too, because people judge from the beta, but the thing is, the beta on Steam, that is representative of the sentiment on PC. Like, you take that as face value.
But I keep saying this, and I know it's because you mostly game on PC, but PC isn't the game industry, right? It is indeed the de facto standard.
Most games sell more on PlayStation than PC.
Exactly, but I'm not discounting PC, but what I'm saying is PC is just one small aspect of everything. This game, think about it. It's a first-party Sony shooter that just so happens to be on PC as well. If the game bombs on PlayStation, clearly the game bomb, right? But
Helldivers won me back over with the new trailer, and I'm thinking to myself, well, there's proof in the pudding that
we can't do this. No, Concord is not Helldivers. These two separate genres were so far apart.
In a way, I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's anything like Concord. But what I'm saying is the principle is that you can certainly with updates win over a player base, and even more so with a PvP one than a PvE one. The thing that Helldivers has going against it is that it's PvE only, and like some people, like Porter Rock said, eventually it boils down to the same thing. Whereas PvP, there is a little bit more dynamicism there. That dynamism.
Yeah, you had it. You had it right. Yeah.
You get my point. And there is also there's more of an appeal to it and more of a retention to people in that sense. And so there is more they could do with it. I think I disagree with the free to play being good for it. I think it's good in one aspect, that there's initial much lower barrier of entry, and you'll get more people playing it day one, which is important. But long term, the content can suffer more as a free to play title, because it all comes down to cosmetics, and all their assets and resources are churning out cosmetics and not content. And whereas selling the game, it is kind of like it's a sad reality that most people want it to be free to play because of the amount of free to play games that are similar and akin to Concord. But at the same time, they can focus on not trying to appeal to microtransactions on cosmetics, but they can focus on actual content, like new maps. And new maps are notoriously like under prioritized in games, and so
that is true. But it's like you look at thing is, it's like I don't think he'll capture Helldivers 2. I think is the anomaly, but mainly because Helldivers 2, for one, a vast majority of the PC base helped propel that game. If the PC base didn't mess with that game, it wouldn't have done what it done.
No, it would have. The developers and others said even the analysts said, based on the numbers, that even without PC, that game would have been successful.
The game sold successful, but the 50% or so player base
it helped. It helped, but you got to understand, right? It's again, and I keep stating this: PC isn't everything. PC isn't the end all be all, right? It's just not.
The bigger question you've got to be asking yourself isn't will it be successful or not on PC. It's will it being a live service game. Will the studio fare well if the game doesn't absolutely kind of turn a profit? Because the problem with live service games is this is why Naughty Dog refused to continue working on Factions, is because it takes all the assets of the studio to focus on churning out more content for that machine. But when that machine dies, when it dries up, they've not got any other project, so that's halfway through completion. They have to start from scratch. So if they sunset a game, that's it. They're like, now what? Back to the drawing board. And you can only hope that they've gained enough assets and through profit made and return on investment rather, for them to be able to make a new game, which will take longer, 6 or 7 years maybe, or because pre-development and early development, mid-development, late development, it's a huge deal. So the live service games, they impact negatively the next game, which is why Ubisoft probably haven't made a new Rainbow Six yet. They're still churning out.
You probably wouldn't want to, because Siege is ridiculously successful still, and it's still a massive player base. You don't need to make a new game. Not for a while.
Hey Jay, so here's a super chat from Moonshot. He says, "Did Sony forget how to drum up some hype, or am I just getting old?" He says, "I've been super satisfied with what's been released this year, but goddamn, gents, come on." I don't know. I don't know what do you want them to do? They're advertising it. Seems to be in a lot of different commercials on YouTube. I don't know if they're doing billboards like they did for
Microsoft. Don't have the budget for marketing close to what PlayStation spend.
They're doing a controller. I don't know. I mean, there's a Stellar Blade was a massive release. It was on the sides of people were shout out to Genki was doing it and a bunch of other people were awesome people. Shout out to Kami was showing us, Zuby Tech. Everyone was showing all the stuff for Stellar Blade this year. Tons of stuff for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think Sony's hype factor. It's just, it is what it is. I want to see how this game's going to end up. I do want to ask you guys a question about Helldivers. Jay, what do you think? Do you think that the Helldivers DLC, the massive update coming out, I think it's August 6th. Do you think that that's going to bring back, as I like to put it here in the title, resuscitate its success again? Will it bring the numbers back up to where we once saw?
Yeah. I think just like Destiny, right? The game launched when did it launch? February the 29th or something like that. I want to say Helldivers launched to great success. They continuously updated the content till around June, July. This is July now, and now they're coming out with, I would say, their next big update, adding more content and maps and things like that. So that's going to bring people back in there. But it's a live service game. Keep in mind, guys, just like Destiny and other thing. You play it for about a month, 2-3 months, and then there's a new shooter, a new live service game dropping every week. You go and you try that, and something may stick, and then eventually content will come with the other game that you have, and you go and try it. It's the same way with Call of Duty. Call of Duty drops, people play it for about a month or two, and then a new game drop out, and they'll move over for a little bit, and then they'll revert back when something else. That's just how this stuff goes. That's in the business of being. You're in the business of live service games. You have to know that the numbers will go up and down. The goal is to have the people to come back, right? And then eventually it'll wane out a little bit, and then you drop the content. That's why even Naughty Dog said it's your studio has to turn into a perpetual. This is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives as a studio, because you have to keep constantly refreshing the content and supporting it and patching and everything else. It's not just a one size fits all. Hey, we're done. We got our money back. We're done. No, you got to keep this stuff going. So, if they plan on this game being around for years and years and years, like the Overwatches, like the Call of Duties, and like the Valorants and stuff like that, this is just part of the everything thing. And we need to stop looking at Twitch numbers as the end all be all, right? You'll see it day one, just like this Marvel Rivals, right? We saw it was like 50,000 people playing it. It's like, okay, hooray. Let's see 2 and 3 weeks after that, what are those numbers looking like? If those numbers are down 5,000 5,000, that doesn't mean that the game is a failure. That just means people are waiting for more content to come back in there.
That's right.
And that's what it is. We only have so much time in a day, so much time in a week, so much time in a month, and we rotate games. Unless you're a streamer like these Twitch guys that have all these freaking followers, and if they're a COD player, their only job is to play COD. That's their life. But we're content creators, but we're also gamers, right? And we like to try the latest and greatest, and that takes time. And so that you have to share this time. So I think Helldivers 2 is, it's going to bring some people back. It's going to be, the numbers are going to get back up there, and then it'll do its thing. And then, COD will come out, and people leave from the other stuff and go to COD for a little bit, and then they'll leave COD and go elsewhere. That's just, NCAA came out, and basically that's all I've been playing, right? So, in this weekend, I'm going to try to play other things and stuff and add it part of my rotation. But shit, guys, like, there's so many games dropping all the time. Like, you only have so much time.
Yeah,
I think Marvel Rivals will have the legs though, because as I said in the DMs when we were chatting, if you played Overwatch back when it released in 2016, 2017, 2018, when it was peak Overwatch, when the gameplay was solid, before they went to 5v5 and they started doing some crazy stuff, and I was like, "This
Before
ain't
they did
Overwatch
the free to play
anymore."
model, right? Before
Right,
they went free to play, right?
before they went
Yeah.
free to play. But
Yeah.
the peak crisp gameplay, that's what I'm getting from Marvel Rivals. That's what we all unanimously said. It was like, this just reminds me of peak Overwatch. I feel like I'm back in the day. You know, you have the Pharah Mercy combo, and then you have your tanks going in, and everything's super flashy and stuff. So I think Rivals will do it because it more mirrors exactly. It is exactly what Overwatch is. Let's keep it 100. It is an Overwatch clone, but it's got Marvel characters, and they have unique abilities, but it does enough that it's like, it reminds me, it gives me the feeling. When I'm playing Concord, I feel like I'm playing a bit of Destiny, as people say. I feel there's a bit of Overwatch and stuff in there, but it just doesn't give me the vibe, and that's the difference. Because
It doesn't have the boobs, does it, for you, mate? It doesn't have the boobs.
I'm sorry to tell you, but as Lucas, shout out to Lucas, she completely agrees with this. I like beautiful characters in my video games. Tales of Arise, absolutely fantastic, beautiful characters. I look at Concord's characters. I'm sorry, I don't see what I like there. So
I quite like Haymar, mate. Haymar's got that Zendaya look to her.
okay, there's like one, but there's like not.
And looks are subjective, so we got to keep that.
Well, yeah, looks are subjective, but it helps sell a game. Like, I mean, Overwatch, like having Tracer's ass on the cover, like, and in all the promotion material. Do you think that was accident? You think that was accident, or was that to sell the game? Come on, now.
Come on, we're not marketeers in a boardroom, bro. Like,
well, wait a second. So,
comes down to the gameplay and the quality.
When is Marvel?
I mean, if you think about it, they could turn all those characters to those anime pictures with the titties out and the ass out and try to sell a game. I get it. But
hey, shout out to Stella Blade.
Yeah, shout out to Stella Blade.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? But I mean, obviously, that's not what they're going for or whatever. That's not to say they're not going to add any characters like that. That's why I say it's all subjective. Because when I play a game, I'm not, dude. I'm a married man. I'm okay. I don't look for that stuff. Some people do. I don't. I just, as long as the gameplay is tight, the graphics are spot on, I'm there. I'm a graphics whore. Give me a great graphical game with some solid gameplay. I'm there. That's just that's why I say it's subjective.
When can we expect to get the open beta for Marvel Rivals?
Well, they're doing the playtest right now. This is the playtest beta, so I would imagine they'd have an open one at some point, because they've already done the alpha. This is the beta playtest. So,
is there a release date for the game, Singer?
No, they haven't said what it is yet.
Okay.
People were proposing it was coming this year. It might be next year. I honestly don't know. They haven't said anything. I mean, from playing the game, it is in a very complete state, as in, like, the maps look done, the characters look done, the abilities look done, the sound effects, the music, the party chatter in between. Like, I had Venom and Spider-Man having a whole ass conversation before the game, and then Groot is over there talking with Rocket Raccoon, and it's, you know, they seem to have the game complete. And they have more characters coming, so they revealed, like, Doctor Doom and whatnot coming. So I think they pretty much got a good roster. They got a lot of characters. So I'd say it's closer to coming out than people might think, because of how complete it is.
He loves his pretty characters and his mobile games. Our
mobile. I love my games where I can have incredibly nice looking skins. I'm afraid I'm a sucker for those microtransactions.
You like your Skyrim mods, I know.
R.L. Stein says the open beta is October, and he says the release is set for Q1, Q2, 25. Porter Rock, was that you?
To say again?
You are here, Porter Rock. I told you. Porter Rock was like, I'm not in here. I'm like, Porter Rock, you never left.
No, I came back in. For whatever reason, I was in another room.
When you
I'm like,
watch,
wait a
if you
minute.
go back and watch the show, you'll see you've been on the show. If you leave the room, you wouldn't be on the screen. You're on the screen the whole time. That's why
Now I am. Yeah. No, before I didn't have the screen with you guys in it.
Oh, I don't know. I never saw you leave. That's why I was like, I don't know. But Porter Rock, I'm glad you're back though, because I do have this one topic here, and I know it means a lot to Wooly Gamer. So I'll start with Wooly, but P Rock, I want you to chime in as well, please. So let's talk about it. Willie, I promised you some airtime. You really wanted to get something off your chest with the whole, and it happened about a month and a half ago. We've touched on it on the show, but Willie wants to talk about, again, just recently, Ubisoft comes out again, guys. Again. And I have the tweet here somewhere. Let me just find it real quick.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking news. Assassin's Creed
right?
based its fictional spins on non-fictional events.
The Assassin's Creed Shadows team has a message for the community. So I don't know, Wooly, you said you wanted the microphone. What is it that's really got you bothered by what's going on in the news?
Basically, Ubisoft, hats off to them, man, because all they basically said is like every other Assassin's Creed, it's a fictional spin on non-fictional events and non-fictional characters. And as I mentioned in like 2 months ago, like Yasuki, very little known, very little is written about him, but what is written about him makes him a legend, right? Because real documentation in the Shinko Koki manuscript, which was written by Oda Nobunaga's own vassals, other vassals, and his own diary as well, recorded him finding Yasuki originally, and how he had the blackness of a bull and the strength of 10 men. Instantly, that made him a legend because they exaggerated his physical feats because of how impressive he was, right? And so he was historically written down as this really impressive specimen who very, very quickly rose to gain his own land. He was given his own land and a stipend from Oda, right? One of the most infamous warlords, well-known warlords in feudal Japan history, right? And he under his hand, he was given land, a home, and money. Now there is a chance he was not a samurai, right? But it's more likely that he was, because you don't get given honorary duties under the close association of the Oda without being an ordained samurai. And then they go to say, oh well, he didn't commit seppuku when Oda died. It's like it literally says that he fought, and I quote, a long time against the Akechi clan, right? Yeah. Before finally giving up his sword. So what? He fought a clan, the ones who killed Oda, like his daimyo, like for a long time, and they granted him mercy. So what do these absolute clowns who just spend far too much time on Grum's conspiracy website say about him? Oh, he was a coward. He didn't commit seppuku. He's not a real samurai. Well, maybe he chose to fight for honor rather than to die for honor, right? Who knows, right? Maybe he didn't commit seppuku. Can you blame him? He was made a samurai only 3 years after being washed up ashore a foreign island he had no idea about. He wasn't born and raised in the samurai doctrine. So maybe he was made samurai, but wasn't indoctrinated as samurai. Maybe he didn't commit seppuku. But regardless, right, the history accurately gives so much credence and reason to conclude he made an absolute wave in Japanese history in a very quick space of time. Now, there is very little known about how his story ended, or all the ins and outs and in-betweens. That is where artistic inspiration can come into play, and that's why it makes him a perfect character. Think about the Assassin's Creed bloodline. Could having the strength of 10 men be because of his god blood in Assassin's Creed? That's a spin that they could use. We know it's written in real historical documents he had the strength of 10 men. Now, he didn't really have the strength of 10 men, but they made him a legend by how impressive he was. Well, that's a perfect opportunity for Ubisoft to use that to create a fictional spin, and the rest goes on. You know, what happened? Did he run away with now the shinobi after the death of his master, after the death of his daimyo, and learn a different way, learn the way of the blade? Like, there is so much open, whereas using Hanzo, his life is written rigidly in vivid detail, and it would be viewed as offensive if Ubisoft took a real historical figure everybody knows everything about and changed it completely on its head. Like, so you got to kind of ask yourself, are we just debating about words here? Are we so bent over trying to win an argument, right, that you're willing to dogmatically push as a dogma a chance of something not happening as it didn't happen, and any artistic inspiration pushing the idea that it did happen for artistic purposes as offensive? Like, get over yourself, guys. Like, how wet have we become that this is literally an issue?
So
it's crazy. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up. I know, Willie, you've been wanting to talk about that on the show for a while. I mean, myself personally, and I'm not trying to derail at all. I'm just saying I've never been an Assassin's Creed fan. You guys know that I've said this on the show a number of times. Jay, my biggest concern, because I heard you saying you agree with Willie. My thing is, I just want the gameplay to be good, and I have lost complete and utter love for Assassin's Creed over the years. To me, it's like, here's 65,000 objectives. Here's a map that literally is the size of your 85-inch screen. We've used the entire surface of your television set. Here's 75,000 side quests. We'll see you in 350 hours. Good luck for that platinum. I mean, and I don't even care about the platinum. I mean, myself personally, I'm just like, are they going to fix the formula to get people interested again? Now, I will say, Willie's right. The story in this game does hold a lot of weight. So, first of all, tribute to Willie for that. I agree. Is this game going to win people over? Do you think this game is going to get, at the end of the day, do you think it's this controversy that's going to get people to buy the game, Jay? Do you think it's going to be, are they going to win Assassin's Creed fans back? What? I'm a little lost on this subject because Assassin's Creed games just lost me a very long time ago. I think the last time I played it was on the Xbox 360. Do I have Origins? Did I pick up Valhalla? Because that was the game. That was like the game to buy if you got an Xbox Series X. So I got Valhalla. I played it for about 4 hours. I think I played it for 4 hours, or I don't know if maybe 2 of those hours I was asleep. Jay, what do you? I mean, what's your take on it?
It's Assassin's Creed, right?
Right.
If you play any of the other ones, that's what this is going to be. It's their formula. They're not going to change it now, right?
Right.
They keep making these games because these games keep selling. That's just simply what it is. I will say around the controversy, there's this, and it started happening within the last year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this concerted effort for some people just to become controversial, just because it brings in the likes, the clicks, the views on YouTube, right? Anything that's, I mean, it's and I do feel sorry for these developers because the shit that they have to go through with these grifters, and I call them grifters, right? They'll come and they'll not like something and say, "Oh my God, this is DEI or whatever. We're boycotting." Boo! They start this. This is just the same in line of that. Oh, you got a woman main lead, or you got a black guy as a main lead. Oh, boo! This DEI, and it starts this whole echo chamber of bullshit. Now, but the good side about it is they've been extremely unsuccessful, right?
I was just going to say, that doesn't affect games.
We saw it with the Harry Potter. We saw it with the other game that just released, right? It's like every controversial game that comes out tends to do abundantly well. Yeah. So it's like these guys' batting average is fucking extremely low. Pardon my French.
No,
but it does, like, as a gamer, you just want a game.
I want a
game.
Don't
want the politics. You don't want any of the other bullshit that these grifters, right, bring into the gaming atmosphere. And gaming is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be something where you can take a load off after work and not deal with the bullshit of the day and of life, and just kind of zone out, have fun with your friends, and just sit back. But when all of this other crap from the outside comes into that, it makes it, for a lot of people, it makes it less fun. And that's all we need, is more and more developers to have a disdain for gamers or stop doing what they do, because it's their job to make us happy by making great games and delivering what we want and what we like. And so, that's why I said, God bless those developers, because some of the stuff I hear and see, it's like, dude, I would have been just threw my hands up and say, fuck it, I'm not making this game. I hope gaming
Japanese government. I love that the Japanese government just said, basically, get a grip. It's just a game. Shut up.
Exactly. Well, and here's the thing: the people who are complaining are not even they're not Japanese. They're not even a Japanese culture, right? Those are the biggest supporters.
See the Shinobi gameplay as well. Did you see the Shinobi gameplay, bro? Like it was incredible. The whole completely built from the ground up parkour system. The rope, the physics, everything has been completely in. You can use shadows and lighting, like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory now to hide. Like, there is so much to it that's been completely redesigned, completely ground up, not recycled from Valhalla or anything like that. And I'm like to myself, this is amazing. But everybody's acting like this Shinobi girl doesn't even exist. Like, she's not a playable character.
That's it.
It's mad to me.
I was just going to say, they came out and said in their statement that the other character is just as big as of a character. Like, it's. I don't know. I just found the whole thing to be very odd. I mean, P-Rock, we didn't get a lot of P-Rock time tonight. P-Rock, anything on this, or
it's manufactured bullshit. Let's all call it a speed. We've seen this shit multiple times. Dudes just want to be angry. I don't know why dudes want to act like they got personally attacked on the internet over a video game and shit, man. They're gonna try to rally the troops. Let's boycott it and stuff like that. Listen, at the end of the day, what really comes down to is the gamers just playing the games and stuff like that, right?
Facts.
Games is imagination. I mean, are we really going to hold the line that games has to be accurately historically? I mean, hell, wasn't the DLC for Assassin's Creed was the tyranny of King George?
Yeah,
George Washington was never a king.
Exactly.
King, it was made up. It's a made up story. So how come we didn't flip out over that? How come we didn't say, "Oh my God, Ubisoft, you disrespected the first president of the United States. How dare you?" No, we didn't do that, right? We didn't take out the tiki torches and fucking flip on Ubisoft because they disrespected, the guy on a dollar bill. None of us did that. None of us defended George Washington's honor. None of us.
Yeah,
it was a game.
Yeah,
he was a king. He was terrorizing the colonists, and we marked that dude.
I'm not even.
It's a video game. It's fake.
I legitimately have no idea. I don't really follow a lot of the Assassin's Creed, but the Ezio collection. I'm pretty sure that Italian guy. That probably wasn't true either. I don't have no idea. I mean, what's going on? Right?
Yeah, it's the DLC the tyranny of King George. Like, that's not true. So it's just guys who are like J-Dub said it best. Let's be honest. There is money in grifting. Because and I'm gonna say this, I don't like that, but hey, if that's how people do it, and the reason why I don't like that side of the internet, whether it's politics or video games or sports.
Yeah.
The thing about grifting is you're usually making money off of people that you could say is not right in the head. They're not thinking clearly. They're upset over things they shouldn't be upset about. Like, if you sat down with them like at a table face to face and you actually ask them, why the fuck are you mad over a video game? Then they realize, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, people are saying that the anti-woke, quotes, the anti-woke mob who are trying to boycott AC Shadows are the complete opposite to the anti-JK Rowling lot who wanted to boycott Hogwarts, right? I'm saying this. You both parties have become the same people. They're like both. This is why I don't identify as anti-woke anymore, because although I'm not woke in the liberal sense, I care about justice, right and wrong, and stuff like that. Although I'm not woke, I'm certainly not whatever this has become this last 2-3 years, where it's just a bunch of like wet lettuce crybabies over anything that features a person who isn't white, and it's like mad to me. Like, yes, there is clearly DEI nonsense in games. I hated Spider-Man 2's writing. The gay mission didn't bother me. It was just is what it is. I can it was Mary Jane suddenly becoming Batwoman. That bothered me. Like, because it was just immersion breaking, the suspension of disbelief that Mary Jane was cycling bike riding headfirst into danger when Peter just tried to save her, and now they're letting her go do her thing and slay Queen. Like, I just thought that was just stupid writing, because it's immersion breaking. So that's what I care about, is the quality of writing. But this nonsense about a real person who happened to be black having an amazing, like, untold story, like a story that can be spun in different creative ways. Like, loads of Japanese culture videos, like Afro Samurai was inspired by Yasuki. You know, like, there's loads of Yasuki based material out there, and it's like, why can't Ubisoft create Yasuki as a character? Suddenly everyone's outraged. I just think, you know what, you're no different to the SJWs. You're no different. You've become them. You've just become a bunch of wet letters who scream and cry over everything that's petty and small, and make enemies of everyone, and you're angry all the time, and it's stupid. It's daft, bro. So yeah, said my piece.
Well, I'm glad you said your piece, Willie. He's like, I got to talk about this before the show. No, go ahead, P-Rock. If you want the mic, go ahead.
Yeah, people also forget, like, this isn't, you're not getting college credit, you know, on Japanese history, right? So no one's trying to rewrite Japanese history. You know, they're taking something and then they're adding a theatrical flair. Whether it's completely or true or not, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure there was no assassin jumping off the Eiffel Tower and landing on a haystack and live.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure that's not happening either.
I think you might
be
it's
a video game.
I think you might be onto something, P-Rock.
Yeah, you know, they're taking liberties to stuff in just to make a fantastical game and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a video game. It's not an actual history lesson you get collegiate credit over and stuff like that. So it was always nonsense. That's why I didn't really jump on the thing. I'm like, oh my god, like, there's a lot of things we could talk shit about and trash talk.
I was like,
but once I see a specific crowd of grifters going that direction, like the Grums, to me, he takes advantage of people that are, how would you say, not right in the head. And they really take this shit serious. Yeah, and I don't like that. Like that, I talk shit about Xbox all day, but there's limits, right? I know, you know, there's lines to where I'm not going to go, you know, take advantage of people that's not right in the head and stuff like that. I'm not doing that. It's just not it, you know? So to see people actually pissed off that a video game has a black character, a black samurai, and they're flipping out. I mean, even got to the point where accounts started, like, pretending they were Japanese. And then, like, there was one account that was, like, typing in Japanese saying, oh, you know, my family's ashamed. But then they went into the archives. He was an American dude. They show all his early posts. So you got people going to those limits pretending. So they could go on the internet and pretend to be Japanese. That's okay. But this game is not, like, come on now. This is just a sickness.
I think the other thing too. I think the other thing too, and we say this all the time, even when we're talking about, like, gaming related topics that are just strictly gaming and it doesn't get into the world events. Like, Twitter is its own world. Like, I don't think a lot of stuff that goes on there and the arguing that goes on, you don't really see that happening in your office or your neighborhood a lot of the times. I mean, does it exist out there? Sure, but, like, you know what I mean? I think, like, some of these things are like people. You know what I mean? P-Rock, like, these people are arguing all day online. All day. Like, it's all day long. Yep. I just feel like you said, these things are like the game itself, since the inception, has never followed everything, right? Full. I don't understand where this argument even came from. That's why when people are like, oh, we got to talk about it. I'm like, is the game going to be good? Has anyone seen the game? Have they shown the game? Enough of it? I just want to see if the game is good. I want to see if they can actually get people back into Assassin's Creed.
Willie put a good point, because a similar thing was happening with Hogwarts. I remember I saw on Twitter, a account said, if you guys can't even, you know, boycott a game, then how do I know you'll be there for us if they throw us in trains and start sending us to internment camps? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, after that point, I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna answer back. Like, you guys are just lunatics.
Exactly.
Now we're just lunatics.
It's just a crazy.
Now we buy Hogwarts. We're no different than the Nazis. Oh, you're done. Like, okay, this is just getting dumb.
We already knew the SJWs were absolutely bonkers. But now the other side have become absolutely bonkers, like the SJWs. So the two ideological opposites, those who are against Hogwarts Legacies, are the ones that are supportive of Assassin's aren't really vocal about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those who were supporting Hogwarts Legacy, saying "Let's buy it, let's prove the SJWs wrong."
Now they're anti.
The ones. Now they're anti Assassin's Creed Shadows for cultural appropriation. Like that is such a stupid thing. Like cultural appropriation. It's like you can't steal culture. You can share it. You can borrow. You can be inspired by it. You can contribute to representing it or to making it better known. Like. But both voice actors of Miles Morales weren't Puerto Rican. They weren't. Yeah. You know, not that yet. They pulled it off really well. Why? Because they're actors. They're voice actors. Like, so go figure.
And I'm keeping you guys. I've literally mooched you guys for 3 hours tonight. But I do want to ask you guys one more question real quick as we approach the 3 hours on the show here. And that really does come down to the. I have it in the title. I always promise I try to hit the titles here. PSVR2, guys, real quick. Are you guys upset that PSVR2, the PC adapter, is not being handed out free to PlayStation gamers that bought it day one? Are you guys upset with this? That seems to be another controversy out there.
No, don't care. No, don't care. Throw that in the line with the goddamn Assassin's Creed shit. Don't matter.
Throw it right in line.
Pour it in there with us. Yeah, who cares? It's PC. Give them, whether it's adapter. That's a PC problem. Whether they get some free or not, who cares? I bought it for PlayStation.
That's what I'm saying. I was like,
I don't need the adapter. Who cares?
I don't.
Well, it's true because if you want to use VR on PC, the Quest is all you need. So
wait.
I always thought they should stay in their own lanes anyway. Because sure, PSVR2.
Can somebody please explain this to me? Because listen, I have PSVR2. I have the. I don't even know what they're called. I haven't used them in so long. The Oculus Rift S. I have that. I have the Oculus 2. I didn't buy the 3. But hear me out. People are like, oh, now I can play my PSVR2 games on my PC. Isn't it? I thought it just meant that I could play my Steam. I have a library of Steam VR games. I thought it meant I can use my PSVR2 to play my Steam games.
That's what it means. The other people that are saying they're buffoons.
Okay, but you do see that, right? People are like, oh, I'm going to be playing PSVR2 games now on PC. And I'm like, now I know there's not many of them. But I'm just saying that are only PSVR 2. The
benefit of having your PSVR 2 on the PC, and we just found out that majority of the features of the PSVR 2 is not compatible.
I saw that
with PC, which is crazy. Which is the
foveated
rendering, the haptic feedback, the HDR, just a lot of the other features there, and it's like, well, you might as well stick with what you have. Why would I mean, the selling point of the PSVR 2 is obviously the higher resolution, the foveated rendering, the eye tracking, the haptic feedback, and all that stuff. Why would I want to? I thought, right? Hey, since I game on PC and since I have PS5. And I have a PSVR 2. Well, sure, I'd like to play my DCS flight simulator. It's a worse experience. So it's like, but PC guys, they like to tinker and do all kind of stuff. The vast minority of them, they like to tinker and change settings and stuff, and they'll find some kind of way to mod it in there. But that's super extremely small and rare.
Jay, I know you buy all the tech and all the new stuff. Jay, real quick question. So, would you say the PSVR 2 headset to play your Steam games, even because if the Steam games I have wouldn't be utilizing the unique abilities of the PSVR 2 anyway. So like let's say Half-Life Alyx, right? So if I play Half-Life Alyx on my PSVR 2, will I get a better looking game than if I played on my Oculus Rift S that I bought?
Yes, because the opticals, the it's high resolution and you get the HDR capability. Those are something that your Rift S and the other ones don't support, right?
Okay.
They just don't support. So yes, you are, but imagine playing Half-Life Alyx with the haptic feedback.
Oh, I wish I could.
With the eye tracking and with everything else. Like that seems like it would be the creme de la creme.
Absolutely.
But that's not going to be possible. So you might as well. It's just a little bit bummer. It's a bummer. It's a bummer because I thought, like the PC guys thought, oh yeah, we got the whole shebang now. Now we don't have to go and buy X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And we can hang up our our other headsets, but no, that's not the case. So.
The thing with me is that I love PSVR 2, but I love it for the stereoscopic 3D game modes like Gran Turismo 7. It's stereoscopic 3D mode. It's not a full-fledged fling my arms around standing in a room VR. I don't like that
absolutely.
VR. I don't like the Resident Evil VR experience.
Yeah.
I like the sitting on my sofa. I want to play Uncharted 4 in full stereoscopic 3D. I want to play Spider-Man in full stereoscopic 3D. Now, there's a mod guy who's doing all of that on PC for games like Spider-Man and Days Gone.
So wait,
all these other games.
Not to turn this into a VR podcast, but Jay, if you were to play, let's say, Spider-Man 2 with your PSVR2, is that just like a big picture mode type of thing where it looks like you're in a movie?
Yeah, it's big picture mode.
Okay, got it. All right,
that's the best you can do out of that. Yeah. Now some guys they go and do the mods, but the mods is not the same as a true VR experience. It's just not. And I know a lot of people.
But it's full stereoscopic 3D, bro, and that's what's so incredible. Like it's not full 3D in the sense that you're not literally waving your arms around, but you get all the depth perception and all the full 3D feature of full VR. You are fully VR 3D in those stereoscopic 3D game modes, which is why it's so appealing to so many players.
No, that is true. That is true. But I think, at least for me, the whole premise about VR is to take you out of the real world and put you in the VR space where it tricks your brain into thinking you're there. And if I can't move my hands and stuff like that, it's really going to lessen my experience. And that's just to me. Now, like you said, Wooly, if you're sitting down on the couch, right, and you're not really moving your hands, you're playing with a controller, then that experience, that depth is enough. And I get it. Because when I'm racing...
That's all I want.
Yeah, and when I'm racing in... GT7 in VR, I'm sitting in my racing cockpit, my hands on the steering wheel, so it's literally a 1-to-1, just like I'm physically in that car in the game. But when I play it with my DualSense Edge sitting on the sofa, it's just so not the experience. It's like it looks good, but obviously I can tell that this is I don't feel like I'm in real life. Like, I'm not sweating like I do when I sit in my racing rig. When I'm done after about 10 minutes in my racing rig, after putting in a couple of laps, I am drenched because it go ahead.
Well, answer me this. You don't want a mode in No Man's Sky where instead of like holding your gun in your hand and using the two motion sensors, you're sat you have the normal viewpoints and gameplay of the non-VR game, but everything is full stereoscopic 3D, full like depth, everything, as if you.
Okay, so I played No Man's Sky, right, in regular 2D, and I played in VR. The VR experience with having my hand do everything with the gun, or even on the throttle and the yoke of my jet, that is immersive. Like, it really feels like I'm in space and I'm doing this, so it really tricks me into doing that. Now again, if you're sitting on a sofa and you're holding the DualSense, it's just like you're just playing a video game, right? It's just you're just playing a video game where you can see in 3D. It's like, I feel like it's 50% of the experience. Not saying it's bad. It's just
right.
But I think what Willie's saying is, I think he's not trying to compare his stereoscopic 3D with the full VR. I think he's trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Willie, I think what you're trying to say is that is better than a flat TV. So I think you're trying to say this is beyond flat TV gaming. Not the full VR experience, but beyond the flat TV, where now he's in the world, but he's still chilling with a controller.
Oh, I'm saying
like you're playing Resident Evil 4, you don't have the room environment. You're in the Resident Evil 4 environment, but you're still playing it like a classic Resident Evil 4.
All I'm saying is, if you have a Quest 3, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying.
Imagine like a God of War, where it's
all I'm saying is, if you have a Quest 3, and you download the mod for Spider-Man on PC, and you play Spider-Man on your Quest 3, you'll be crying in your chair like, whoa, this is crazy, because you are falling towards the ground at 140 mile an hour, and you feel it, bro.
You're promoting playing the with like a DualSense Edge on big picture mode.
Well, no, not big picture. I'm not the big picture. No, I'm talking about full stereoscopic 3D, but set to the gameplay mechanics and camera angles of the 2D version of the game. But all the benefits of VR are still there, except you're not physically moving the hand. You're playing by the controller.
Can I do that with the PSVR2 on PS5?
No, you can do it. You can do it on PC with mods for every Unreal Engine game.
Okay.
And that's what I want Sony to do with Uncharted 4 and with Spider-Man on PlayStation. I want stereoscopic 3D modes, which aren't hard to do. They're not hard to implement, but that would be the creme de la creme gaming experience for me. That is so much better for me. I don't like the encumberment.
You know what? That's actually the selling point. Is not just the immersive experience, but it's also you're no longer using a TV.
Right.
You put your headset on and you're playing the game, just like you want a TV, but it's just giving you a better experience than what a flat screen TV would. Right. Give you.
Right.
And that's not taken away from the VR. It's just additional capabilities, because some people, they may not like the full VR experience. Some of them get queasy.
Yeah, it's encumbersome, moving my arms around. Things.
But for some people, just simply better than your TV. That could be good enough for some people. Like, man, this is much better than a TV.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's not like, full VR is just better. You're just more in the world,
3D though. It's not. When I say full stereoscopic, I mean you can literally turn your head and look behind your character, like you're able to move around the world. If you watch the Luke Ross gameplay, not Luke Ross, is it Luke Ross? Is that his name? He's the mod guy of the 3D mods, and he does Spider-Man, right? Now, you can't see it on your phone when watching the video, but everything is fully rendered with full depth of virtual reality. And he's moving his head around and he's floating around looking at Spider-Man swinging through the city, and he's going down with him. He's tied to the dynamics of the camera in the 2D version, but he still has the freedom to move his head around and look everywhere.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
In the middle of New York City, watching his character. It's just insane, bro. Like, that's what I want. It's the benefits of VR 3D, the full stereoscopic experience, without the encumbersome of moving the arms around.
You can currently do this. You can currently do this on PC with mods and a Oculus 2 Oculus 2 or 3.
Luke Ross, and he does the mods. You subscribe for a very small fee to his.
Do me a favor, Willie. Send me the link. I just would like to. I mean, the video doesn't do it justice as you're saying, but at least it would be something to check out. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, mate, it's what I want, bro, for VR2. And Sony are missing a trick. Like, they should hire that guy to do the mods for PSVR2, because I swear down, bro, it would make that VR headset explode. Like, I've said this for 3 years now. That since it was first announced, if they made stereoscopic 3D modes a standard for their releases,
what headset?
Play Uncharted 4. You can play Spider-Man.
What headset does he use? What headset does he use in the videos? What's he using? A Quest 3? Or
he's using an Oculus Quest 2, I think.
Quest 2?
But you can use the Quest 3, and you can use any VR headset. Okay. It's the mod. The mod makes
that's not much.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not the headset that matters. It's the mod. But it's crazy, bro. Like, it's just so incredible, and it's like, that's my ultimate wish for PlayStation games, just to have a 3D mode where nothing's changed in how the game plays, where I can still have my controller in my hand, not waving my arms around like a monkey, but I can have the full stereoscopic 3D immersion that the headset brings. Impatient Fire, he owns a 4090 Super Rig. He loads Star Citizen gameplay in the chat. He feels the same way I do. Like, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it is, like, for me, it's the peak gaming experience. It attracts the traditional gaming experience, but with the full benefits of the new VR technology.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out, and I will say this much: it's amazing. I'm always like, guys, I'll get you out of here in 2 hours. I kept you guys for 3. I want to say this was an outstanding show. Death Singer and Woolly Gamer, for both of you guys right now, it's approaching 5 a.m. Over in the UK, so I appreciate you guys being here.
3 a.m.
Oh, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. My apologies. I jumped a bit there. I was like 5 a.m. for a second. I said that and I was like, wait a minute, why didn't he order breakfast? Very good point, Death Singer. I'm starving to death. That's the other thing. I do want to say thanks, everybody. P-Rock, I know that you got here. When you got here, I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks you can join us again, P-Rock, because I need 2 hours of P-Rock at least when he's on the show.
Absolutely.
It's always great to have
right.
P-Rock. He brings that energy. We had quite the show today, man. Outstanding show. I want to say thanks to the guys that had to leave early. I shout out to Brap. Brap couldn't make it. He did say he'll be here next week. And shout out to Detective Seeds. He'll be here. We got a real treat with a great gaming forte who is here with us. But I'll go in reverse order. P-Rock, let people know where they can find you. I thank you so much. I know you have a full day on a Thursday. You stop what you're doing. You came here. It means a lot to me. But let people know where they can find you. Thanks for being here tonight, P-Rock.
Okay, appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for the invite. Yeah, and hopefully another time I could hop on earlier.
Absolutely, buddy. What about 60 frames? Come on. Promote that, bad boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Tuesday. You always welcome.
Listen,
just pull up.
Let me know.
Pull up to the fridge,
Yes.
grab a beer, just walk right in.
You already know. I'm trying to get your ass back to the
That's
East
it.
Coast. I'm trying to get him to the East Coast. He's got to come back home. Listen, P-Rock, great to have you as always, man. Thank you so much, and I will take you up on that offer very, very soon. The great Death Singer, as you guys know, Singer. Outstanding as always to have you. I had somebody in the chat say, Mooch, it seems like Death Singer's on all the time. Why do you have Death Singer on all the time? I said, listen, it's CrossFire. First of all, he's a great friend, great guy in the community, PC gamer, Xbox guy, always gives great opinions, and he's very, very wholesome in how he does it. So, Singer, I love having you on the show. Let people know where they can find you, buddy.
Who else plays games like me?
That's also true.
Who else plays these top-down PC garbage games everyone claims? Who plays these RTS games that no one plays? And it's I play the whole variety. You find me. It doesn't matter if I'm playing Civilization. It's like when the Civilization. I have to go back to it at Summer Games Fest when they announced the new Civ game.
Yes.
I would be the only one cheering in the crowd, right? I'd take my t-shirt off, swinging it in the air, screaming. I'm super hyped for this. Everyone else doesn't care. It is what it is. But, you can find me every Saturday, like always, with the Ash and Luca, Slow-Mo, and Forte doing Scumcast, 10 p.m. Eastern. Kicking it over there. And go play yourself some Marvel Rivals, the superior upcoming.
Oh, wow. Well, it wouldn't be CrossFire without a little zinger at the end there from Singer. Thank you so much, Singer. I appreciate that. The great J-Dub City, everybody. Jay, honestly, great to have you as always on the show. I reached out and said, Jay, I really need you tonight. He goes, listen, I'll be there. That's all you need to know is I'll be there. And as always, He was here. Jay, love that you were on the show tonight. Love that you keep us entertained. You keep me entertained all day at work on Twitter. I can't thank you enough for what you do. Don't you ever leave again. I say it every time you're on the show. Don't you dare leave again. Jay, looking forward to playing some Concord with you very soon. You already know, but let people know where they can find you. And as always, can't wait till you're back on the show, brother.
Definitely, man. You guys can find me at on Twitter at JDubCity16, man. Trying to keep you guys laughing with the GIFs and the memes, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. The great J-Dub, everybody. Go over and follow him on Twitter. If you're not following him, you're missing a great time. The great Woolly Gamer. Woolly, as well, I want to say thank you, buddy. Outstanding as always. So passionate about gaming, and it's a treat to listen to you explain a game, review a game, the reason you like it, the reason you dislike it. I sit back and I'm in awe. You really do put your heart on your sleeve, and that's one of the things that is lacking in a lot of the gaming community. It's great to have you on the show as always and put that out there first and foremost. Willie, let people know where they can find you, and as always, thanks for being here tonight, buddy.
That's a very kind accolade, Mooch. Thank you very much, bro, for your kind words. It means a lot. And
always.
You can find me at Woolly Gamer YT for YouTube, Woolly Gamer YT on Twitter, and Woolly Gamer on YouTube. Although YouTube app is on a long hiatus. When I had my baby girl, everything got scrapped, put to the side. But yeah, I'm active on Twitter. Not as much as I used to be, but somewhat active. More just to drop "I told you so" bombs, like because for the last 5 years, every single thing like clockwork that all of us, P-Rock, myself, flipping King Thrash, so many of us, J-Dub, things that we've said would happen is like clockwork happened, and it's just glorious to be vindicated. But yeah, I wish you all a pleasant evening. It's been absolutely awesome. I love you guys in the chat. You're all epic, and thank you again, Mooch, for having me on.
Always, Willie. Please give the best to the family as well for me over here in New York. I appreciate that so much, and hijacking the great Willie Gamer till, as the great Deathinger reminded me, 3 a.m. about. 3, guys, not 5.
Can you believe it, Mooch? For 3 hours, I could have been playing Marvel Rivals. Instead, I decided to hang out with all these great people and you in the podcast.
That's right. That is correct. But I will say this much, okay? The show must go on, Deathinger. You know this.
Of course. And, with a fantastic panel and a great show, and, of course, with you, Mooch, I am willing to put down my fantastic game.
I appreciate
that. It's always
that.
coming through for you.
As always, I appreciate that. Shout out to the great Deathinger for spending time with us. We always appreciate it. Tyson Webb says, Mooch, we need a badge for a member longer than 6 months. Jeez. Tyson Webb, I will work on that. I will reach out to somebody. We will be getting new badges per your request. You're a family member, so I have to take it seriously.
I've been a member for 52 months.
Yeah, I was going to say, Willie Gamer is going to have to get like a blanket. I don't know what to get him to make him feel more at home. I got to figure something out. Either that or a lifetime supply of pizza. One or the other. I'll figure it out. That's a great gift. Just shout out to the great Eric Jackson, by the way. Eric had to leave early. You guys know him. It's at ECJAXSON. That's the great Eric Jackson, guys. Go over and check him out. Again, like I said, Brap couldn't make it tonight. Hopefully next week he's back. It's at Brap_podcast, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. The great Gaming Forte and Slow-Mo Backslap doing DPS podcast right now. Go over and say hello to him. Tell him Mooch sent you. And as well, I want to say shout out to B Money 101. It's at B Money 101 over on X, Twitter. B couldn't make it tonight, but B was writing to me all night through the show, and he was in the chat. So B, thanks as always for your support. Look forward to having you on the show soon. Guys, outstanding show. I know you guys might think there's not a lot of gaming news, but here on Crossfire, we can make some news. We're doing our own thing here. Talking gaming, having a great time. We'll see you guys next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you guys online this weekend playing some games. Until then, peace out. Good night. Enjoy gaming.
Donnell Brown loves Xbox.